Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest live stream. Hope everybody's having a good morning or slash afternoon so far, depending on where you are in the United States. We do have a lot to talk about, obviously, in terms of what's ahead today. I had a live stream last night. Things have obviously changed. I mentioned that last night. There was so much uncertainty last night where this low pressure system would be located, as well as when the storms would fire up, where they would fire up, and where the most significant severe weather will be. We have some updates for you. We have some timing as well to give you an idea of what's going to be happening over the next several hours, as well as throughout the day today into the overnight hours, because there will be multiple rounds of severe storms today. I'll give you the latest breakdown on all that sort of stuff in this forecast. I did want to begin this live stream, though, talking about what's on the radar right now, because we actually do have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning. In fact, there are multiple severe thunderstorm warnings right now, currently to the west of Chicago. This is over in northwest Illinois, and it might come to a surprise to you. It actually came to a surprise to me as well that there was severe weather this early this morning, but this environment is very supportive of severe weather if any storms are able to develop, and this one clearly has developed and very well has been matured for quite a while. This storm has had a history of producing hail upwards of baseball size. We had a ton of reports over in Davenport. You can see all those yellow boxes. That is all representing all the hail that we've seen so far back over near Eldridge, as well as Davenport, as well as just north of Cole Valley. Again, this is an area that we have a ton of reports right now of that, and again, all these yellow boxes representing some large to very large hail that we did see within the past hour or so. This storm was over in Davenport right around 9:30 to 10 o'clock this morning. But over near Davenport, just keep that in mind. There were damaging winds upwards of 90 miles per hour with this storm. We actually had a confirmation of 90 mile per hour damaging winds back over in Rock Island County in Illinois. So definitely something that's pretty concerning, because this line of storms is actually going towards Chicago right now. But right now the wind threat is a little bit lower, and the hail potential is also a little bit lower. We're currently looking at a storm that's producing up to 70 mile per hour damaging winds. There is still a warning ongoing for Princeton, Dover, as well as Walnut, and as well as Manlius. This is currently ongoing for hen egg sized hail, and as well as damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. That hail threat right now is located near Walnut and just to the northwest of Princeton. So that's where our hail concern is right now. This is going to be eventually approaching Interstate 39 in Illinois, and it will be approaching areas like Amboy and just south of Hermon. That is the area that we currently have a pretty large hail concern right now. Now, in terms of the timing, when this could arrive to areas like Chicago, because again, there is actually a severe thunderstorm watch that was issued for quite a small area. This goes until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So about 4 hours or so this watch will be ongoing for, but this is primarily for the storm activity that is back out here to the west of Chicago. Current timing on this storm, this is a give or take, again, I'll give or take about 10-15 minutes on all this timing. It's a good estimate, though, on when you can expect severe storms, or at least these storms in your location. Current timing, Aurora right around 12:41, eventually Elgin right around 12:45, Naperville 12:56, Carroll Stream right around 12:58, Wheaton 1 o'clock, and will eventually be closer to Hoffman Estates by 1:02, and eventually going closer to Chicago probably by 1:30, 2 o'clock. As long as the timing remains at what it is right now, the storms are moving about 35-40 miles per hour off to the east, so it might be slightly quicker than this, but again, just give or take about 10 to 15 minutes on all these time frames. That is when this area of storms will eventually arrive to your location. Most recent reports on these storms have been up to quarter-sized hail. We had a wind gust of 52 miles per hour in Whiteside County as well, and that's closer to Interstate 88. And again, there's a lot of rain out here. We still have some severe weather. This is where we're still seeing some large to potentially very large hail at this time near Walnut, Illinois. So just make sure that you are staying away from windows and at the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Next Storm Prediction Center update, by the way, comes out in about 20 minutes. We'll be live, obviously, for that, and we'll be talking about any new updates there. I would not rule out a high risk of severe weather in Iowa. I'm going to show you more on that here in just a second. I have a bunch of forecast graphics that we can kind of go over, but Iowa looks very concerning for the tornado risk this afternoon. Storms are likely going to fire up very quickly. We'll probably see multiple supercells, so it's going to get very, very hectic, most likely in Iowa later today. Currently, there is nothing right now ongoing in Iowa. That is obviously a bad sign, because that means that there's not a whole lot of sinking air from rain that's happening, and that basically means that there's going to be a lot of instability growing into Iowa over the next several hours. We could very well see a very significant tornado threat really ramp up right around 3, 4, 5 o'clock this afternoon. So I'll be talking about more on that here in just a second. Real quick, I'm going to go to the velocities. A few people are wondering on if there's any rotation with this supercell or any of these cells right now. We did in fact actually have a tornado warning with this earlier. If we go back on the loop, you can see that it was on there was a brief tornado warning. It wasn't very long. You can see it there. And also this warning actually was up to 90-mile-per-hour damaging winds near Davenport a little while ago. Rotation on the cell though not really existent at this time, at least in the lower levels. I'm not overly concerned right now with a significant tornado threat with this. If there were to be a tornado, it would likely be on the brief side of things. We don't really have all the low-level jet right now is not that strong with this area yet, which is meaning that we're probably not going to see much of any low-level rotation really staying strong for that long of a period of time. So low-level jet increases this afternoon. It's a little bit weaker right now this morning, so just keep that in mind. Tornado threat should remain low with this storm. It's not out of the question, though, that we see an isolated tornado. For those in Chicago, again, just a reminder, there is a severe thunderstorm watch until 3 o'clock this afternoon. This is going to be for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and hail up to the size of hen eggs, and this area storms again moving off to the east. Chicago is currently forecasted to see this area storms by about 1:30. All right, let's talk about some of what is going to be happening today. I'm going to go back. Oh, actually, wait, we have a big update here. Never mind. We're going to go back to the radar again. New update on the storm back near Princeton. This is back to damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. This is an extremely dangerous situation here for Princeton, Walnut. Damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour is destructive, and this is also near Dover. So make sure that you are staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building, away from windows. If you don't have a room away from windows, an interior room like a bathroom or closet's a good idea. We are currently watching damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. This is near Arlington, Dover, Sherry, as well as going through Ladd. Princeton is right now being hit by this storm with damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour, again in northern Illinois. That is where damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour will be possible. I'm pretty sure this is just radar indicated. I'm just going to double check though. Yeah, so right now this is radar indicated damaging winds. This storm has had a history of producing damaging winds up to 90 miles per hour. Right now, again, this is up to 80 miles per hour. So if you're in this area, make sure you're staying away from windows. And in fact, again, damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour is essentially like a weak tornado. So you want to make sure that you are definitely staying away from windows with this storm. That is very significant damaging winds for sure. Again, near Princeton, Illinois right now. Is anybody in this area in Illinois right now? I'm curious if anybody in the chat is from this area. But yeah, again, this is where we're currently seeing some very significant damaging winds. Here's the latest radar scan, by the way. Again, hail core is right now located a couple miles south of Ohio and north of Princeton, Illinois. And where you see this black right here, that is representing some large to very large hail. That very well could be upwards of hen egg. We'll go back to the velocities again. We've been looking at it a little bit for maybe any rotation. I'm not seeing any rotation right now. This is definitely more of a damaging wind concern near Malden and eventually going to be heading towards Arlington over the next several minutes. So again, make sure you're seeking shelter, away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. We have recent reports, by the way, of snapped trees and stuff like that. That was back over near Henry County, Illinois. So this storm, again, is moving towards Sherry as well as going through La Moille, maybe? That's going to be the next area and track of this and eventually going towards Troy Grove. Princeton, again, is being hit by the storm right now. Damaging winds, again, up to 80 miles per hour are possible right now. This is a very significant severe thunderstorm warning. We do have a confirmed report out of New Bedford of golf ball-sized hail just a couple of minutes ago. So that is a new report out of New Bedford. There was a report of golf ball-sized hail. In addition to that, there was also some more snapped power poles, apparently, back over in Geneseo. Saying the name right, back over in Illinois, along with large diameter trees down, heavy roof and structural damage as well in that area. So again, we've seen some very significant severe weather with this area of storms already. This is going to be more of a damaging wind and hail threat. I mentioned before, there's not as much of a low-level jet in this area right now. It's not that strong, so the tornado risk right now is going to be a little bit on the lower end with this cluster of storms, but that tornado risk really ramps up quickly this afternoon back through Iowa, so keep that in mind. By the way, for those that might be wondering, what is the risk right now across this entire region? We do have a moderate risk still in effect for those in parts of Iowa and western Illinois. Another moderate risk in effect for southern Missouri and as well as through a large chunk of Arkansas into southeast Oklahoma. No big changes to the forecast, and I actually called this last night. I was expecting a slight risk extension. This is actually a bit further south, though, than what I expected, but this is a new extension. We have a lot larger, a slight risk of severe weather. It goes almost all the way through San Antonio, Texas. So very large area that that we're still watching today. Hail threat is much more concerning down here to the south in comparison to up here. We're watching more of a tornado risk. Obviously, hail is also one of the main threats as well. So that's just the latest update on the Storm Prediction Center that has not had any major changes. I would expect some sort of changes here in about 15 minutes. The next update comes out in 15 minutes, and we should have more updates then. Because again, I wouldn't rule out a high risk of severe weather. I'm pretty sure the Storm Prediction Center also outlined higher probabilities aren't like, you know, being ruled out with this sort of system. So we'll see if they go to a high risk. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't be surprised if they did one, and I also wouldn't be surprised if they did. The confidence has to be there for a high risk. I mean, there can't just be a high risk of severe weather because there's a 50% chance of all sorts of supercells forming. We really need a lot of confidence for that because we have a cap in place today, and that's going to kind of hurt the severe weather potential a bit if it's not able to, or these storms are not able to get past the cap. If there's a cap, limited severe weather is expected. But if there's no cap, which recent computer model runs have been indicating there will not be a cap, significant severe weather is expected. We could see a full-blown tornado outbreak across Iowa. So that's kind of important right now. Confidence has to be there, obviously, for a high risk of severe weather. We'll see if that ends up happening. All right, since we have a couple of minutes, let's go back over to some of the new timing guides and stuff like that. I'll give you an idea of what we can expect storms and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and begin with the storm activity. Let's actually go over to, I already showed you the graphics on the severe weather outlooks, but you can see here, again, we have that hatched area. This does represent the potential for EF2 plus tornadoes. That is going to be across anywhere from northeast Missouri back through western Illinois, southeast Iowa, and southwest Wisconsin. And that also includes areas from even St. Louis now, by the way. St. Louis is in a little hatched area for a low chance for an EF2 tornado across this entire region here. That's a 10% probability within a 25-mile radius of a strong tornado. We also have that 15% probability of a tornado in southern Missouri back through Arkansas. And hail threat, again, remains pretty much only up here to the north in terms of the highest threat. That is going to remain back in Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. The hatched area does extend all the way back through Texas, and that's mainly due to the fact some of the initial supercells that develop later today could very well produce a pretty hefty hail threat. We could see hail upwards of apple-sized hail when this is all said and done. Damaging wind potential is not significant in terms of like 80, 90 mile per hour damaging winds, even though we've already seen that back up here near Davenport. We've already seen hail upwards of, or not hail, excuse me, damaging winds already upwards of 90 miles per hour has been confirmed. But right now we're not currently looking at a significant hatched area, which I wouldn't rule out they add one in the next outlook. Tornado outlook a little bit closer to really where we are at. You can kind of see the counties here. I'll put a more detailed little look at this on our software here in a second. In terms of where the low pressure is in comparison to last Friday, I've had a lot of questions about what are the differences between this Friday and last Friday. The low pressure system was sitting up here in Iowa and Minnesota last Friday around 12 o'clock in that exact area. For this event, the low pressure system is basically right about here. So it's a bit further down to the south, and it's not in position yet. It's still a good 5-6 hours away from actually being in a position until there's actually a dry line, cold front, all that stuff is kind of put into place with an actual severe weather potential, like an initiator to initiate those supercells. So there is a difference there in between what we saw Friday and as well as today. So just kind of keep that in mind. In terms of the timing, again, we have some timing stuff to go through here. Things have obviously changed. I mentioned that last night on last night's live stream, that things would change as we get closer. So in terms of the timing, we'll be watching for just some convection throughout the rest of this morning. Supercells will likely develop closer to around 5 or I would say about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. That's when supercells will really start to ramp up. You can see here the HRR model is indicating that we'll have a pretty hefty supercell potentially developing closer to 4 to 5 o'clock. That is through central and eastern Iowa. There's also going to be another area back over here near Des Moines that we'll be watching for pretty closely. So again, give or take the location, but we'll be watching for some supercells developing in Iowa sometime around 4 to 5 o'clock if the cap is indeed eroded by either cooler temperatures aloft or warmer temperatures at the surface. Once we get closer to the evening, supercells go really just insane. I mean, we'll be watching for really hefty supercells. We'll be talking about the potential for some large wedge tornadoes. If any of these storms are able to mature, there will very well likely be a pretty significant tornado risk. Once we go closer to the evening hours, storms will continue to march out to the north and east. Significant severe weather is lower in Wisconsin. I'm more concerned about a damaging wind and hail threat. There could be an isolated tornado, but that threat does remain low. Once we go into the overnight hours, Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning, that is when we're still watching for that linear line of storms to develop. That could produce some damaging wind potential as well. And if we could take a bit of a closer look at Iowa, this is again kind of what we're looking at around 5-6 o'clock. HRR model has been indicating we'll probably see a couple of these discrete supercells develop. That is what's going to be most concerning today, is these discrete supercells that develop. Those are the ones that are going to have a very high tornado risk if they are able to develop. So if you know anybody in Iowa, or if you live in Iowa, make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place now and not later, because we'll be watching for some very significant severe weather tonight across Iowa. Very, very concerning without a doubt, and you can see eventually by 7 to 8 o'clock, this is really scary looking on a future radar. I mean, that is something that we do not want to see tonight, is a supercell that looks like this. This is something that is a very classic type supercell that the HRR model has been picking up on, so we'll have to watch this very closely. Again, a computer model is not always going to be 100% accurate by any means, and the location could also very well be different. We could be talking about this storm further to the south. We could be talking about more storm activity. We might not even be seeing any storms at all tonight that are this severe, because again, that cap might be in place, but that's just something to keep in mind there. I did have a question about where the warm front is. Let me go over that real quick. I'll go to the other timing here in a second. So the warm front, let's go ahead and go back to the temperatures, because the warm front's a pretty big key thing here, how far north that warm front goes. Warm front is expected to just go far up to the north, probably into the Wisconsin and as well as Illinois border. Now, when these storms arrive a little bit later, the warm air will actually go far enough up to the north for some severe weather in the furthest southern parts of Wisconsin. Now, the warm front will eventually lift a bit further up to the north overnight tonight, which is where we could see some severe weather near Milwaukee potentially going until late tomorrow morning. So that's currently what we're looking at in terms of the warm front. All right, for those in Missouri, this is your current timing. So we're really watching for maybe an isolated storm throughout the late afternoon or evening hours. You can see, again, the HRR model picking up on maybe 1 or 2 storms later today. This would be closer to like 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And eventually going to the overnight hours, a line of storms will approach. And by the way, if any discrete supercells like that one develop, the biggest threat will again be tornadoes, but damaging winds and large hail does also exist. So damaging winds, more of a concern along that linear line of storms overnight into tomorrow morning. And they'll be watching for St. Louis for maybe some isolated hail or damaging winds going into tomorrow morning. So keep that in mind. Again, discrete supercells are something that are going to be much, much more concerning than anything else. Real quickly, I'm just going to check to see if we have any other updates on that storm in Illinois. I don't think there's any tornado warnings yet on that. All right, cool. All right, let's go back to the Midwest now, talking about Chicago, Illinois, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, the HRR model has not picked up at all on that line of storms that's heading right now towards Chicago, like hardly at all. There's nothing on the map here. They are going to see severe weather potentially over the next couple of hours. I will show you what that looks like on the future radar here, or not on the future radar, on the actual radar here in just a second. But going through this afternoon, most of this region will probably stay dry. My most concerning area for discrete supercells to develop is still back over in western Illinois and as well as back through eastern Iowa. But again, anywhere in this region could potentially see an isolated discrete supercell develop this afternoon. Overnight hours, that is when maybe a few cells will be entering into like Columbia or near Columbia, back west of St. Louis, and then eventually going into the overnight hours, we'll be watching for a linear line of storms to eventually approach the Midwest. This is what could bring the threat for some damaging winds, maybe an embedded tornado or two, and as well as that large hail threat is definitely not out of the question there. Let's go down to Oklahoma real quick. We'll talk about the southern plains very briefly, and then we'll go to the actual radar because there is severe weather ongoing. We'll be watching for an isolated storm maybe later tonight back over in eastern Oklahoma. That will be having a potential for, again, a tornado risk as well as large hail and damaging winds. That line of storms will develop overnight, primarily back out to the east in very far eastern Oklahoma. For those in Arkansas, we'll be watching for a threat primarily tonight, but there could be a storm that develops a little bit earlier than that. Eventually going into the overnight hours, we'll be watching for the potential for an isolated discrete supercell or two. Those have a higher risk of a tornado threat, and this is a nocturnal threat. So keep that in mind. Since this is an overnight risk, you want to make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. If you're going to bed, make sure you have a way to get a warning or multiple ways to get warnings if you're anywhere in any of these areas. Again, a nocturnal tornado threat is very dangerous because a lot of people are going to bed, especially at like 12 a.m. So make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place now and not later. I cannot stress that enough. Overnight going into Wednesday morning, that is when a line of storms will develop. That is more of a damaging wind threat once we go into Wednesday. For those back over in North Texas as well, there's a couple of different areas to watch during the day today, one of which will be during the evening, closer to about 7 to 8 o'clock. We could actually see a couple of discrete supercells develop. You can see here, there is a threat for maybe a couple of these to develop if the cap does break down here. I have very low confidence that we'll see the cap break in North Texas, but if it does, this is what we could end up seeing across North Texas. These would be favorable for a tornado risk as well. Once we go into the overnight hours, more storms will develop, most likely closer to Wednesday morning, so pretty much around rush hour. That is when storms will likely develop. Might become a bit more of an organized line of storms that will be most capable of a damaging wind threat. Also for tomorrow, there is a huge enhanced risk of severe weather. We are already on an enhanced risk here from northeast Arkansas back through Michigan. This is where we could very well see really damaging winds. Large to very large hail is not out of the question. And look at this. There's now a hatched area for strong tornadoes tomorrow that will extend from anywhere near Chicago into the Midwest, back through Michigan, and even closer to Lake Erie. This is back through Ohio as well. That hatched area is representing a 10% probability within a 25-mile radius of a strong EF2 plus tornado. So this is a concerning area as well for tomorrow. And believe it or not, there is a very large hail threat as well in that same region. We'll be watching for the threat of some significant supercells without a doubt across that area. So yeah, a lot of things are definitely unfolding right now. We'll keep you posted with the latest there. Back to the live radar right now. Again, we do have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go ahead and go over to here. I'm going to go ahead and go to the severe thunderstorm warning graphic. We're going to go to that, and we're going to make this 1, or we'll make it 3, and then we'll do that. All right, so let's go over these severe thunderstorm warnings that we have ongoing right now. Most concerningly, it's going to be the storm that's producing damaging winds around 80 miles per hour. Right now, we do have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning, damaging winds around 80 miles per hour. This is currently near Princeton. We are watching for some very large hail as well. You can see that black that's showing up on radar there. That is representative of some large to very large hail. So we'll be watching for that very concerningly here over the next several minutes. In addition to this, we are watching for the threat of damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. The storm does have a history of producing damaging winds in really as high as 90 miles per hour. We had a confirmed report back over near Davenport about an hour ago of a 90 mile per hour damaging wind gust. That was in Rock Island County, Illinois. So again, in Illinois right now, this is what we have over here. That is your area, basically a cluster of storms that is all producing damaging winds from 60 to 80 miles per hour and hail up to hen egg sized. And we're also watching right now a severe thunderstorm watch, which is where those storms are now entering, for the potential for damaging winds up to 70 and as well as hen egg sized hail. But I would not rule out that those two threats are a little bit higher than that. We could see damaging winds up to 80. We also could see hail maybe upwards of even tennis ball size. It's not out of the question. New Bedford, again, we had a confirmed report of golf ball sized hail not too long ago. All right. Thank you, Rick, for becoming a Storm Chaser member. I do appreciate it. Thank you. How's everybody doing today? Welcome, welcome. Again, we're going to be live probably for at least another hour or two. Again, I cannot be live all day today. I already told you, like last night, but I will be live at least for the next couple of hours, especially with this severe weather that we have ongoing in the Midwest. Keep in mind, the next Storm Prediction Center update will be coming out shortly, so stay tuned. We're going to give you the latest update on the new Storm Prediction Center update very, very shortly. Whenever that's available, that should be out. Actually, it just came out. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that. It doesn't look like we have any major changes, but we're going to go kind of over the latest Storm Prediction Center update because it just literally came out. So this is the wording from the Storm Prediction Center, by the way. Potential for unusually strong tornadoes is focused today over parts of the mid to upper Mississippi Valley and tonight over parts of the Ozarks to the Ark-La-Tex region. I cannot say that. Back down basically in North Texas and whatnot. So that's their wording. But we're going to have another update. We're going to have the new wording here in a second. New warning, by the way, damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour and as well as hen egg sized hail has now been issued for this area back through areas like Grand Ridge, as well as going through Interstate 39, Interstate 80, Earlville, Sheridan, all included in a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour and as well as the threat for hen egg sized hail. So this is a very significant threat here for damaging winds up to 80 and as well as large hail. All right. We do have our new update from the Storm Prediction Center. I do not think this is any different from the previous outlook, but I could be wrong. I think this is all the same. Wait, let me double check here. I don't think this is the same. I think there's a few changes. Let's go over to here. I just need to double check on this. We'll go over to here. Yeah, this is not the same. All right, so there are a few updates to the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook. one of which the tornado risks have now been combined here, which is kind of similar to what we saw last Friday. So Missouri, and as well as going into St. Louis and whatnot, those areas have now been connected with that 10% probability within a 25-mile radius of a tornado. Damaging wind threat is not significant either. We'll refresh this to see if it pops up here. Yeah, there you go. So this is the latest update on the tornado risk. Has remained for the most part unchanged. The only difference here is that the yellow area, which is your 10% probability within a 25-mile radius, is now basically connected. So for those in Missouri, as well as Illinois, there's now a 10% area here within a 25-mile radius of a tornado. This is not a hatched area, just to be clear. So the threat of a strong tornado in here is at least a bit lower than these other two hatched areas. So keep that in mind. Obviously, very concerning that we have a bigger area again for a tornado risk, but this is the latest update here from the Storm Prediction Center. Also, let me see if there's any other updates here. I think that's the only main update on the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook, but we're going to double check to make sure we are not missing anything. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless the hail threat maybe extended a bit, but I think that is not extended. So that is the only update from the Storm Prediction Center. I don't know if they... All right, let's see. They might again, they might upgrade this to a high risk, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I don't know yet. Let's see. I'm trying to read it and see if they actually have that confidence yet or anything like that. So basically what they're saying, just kind of for general stuff, for those back into this region, primarily for this region, so that's gonna be south of the Midwest. Basically, the timing is kind of uncertain still, and the location of where these storms develop is uncertain, which I've been saying this. The uncertainty is much higher with this event in comparison to Friday due to the arrival of this low pressure system, because the arrival of this low pressure system, that's where the low is right now. It's going to move a bit further up to the north and east over the next few hours. The low pressure system on Friday was sitting here at the same exact time, and it was already ready to have severe weather. So the timing is just kind of off right now with what we saw on Friday. That is why there's a lot more uncertainty along with the cap as well. But yeah, that's like the main thing right now that we're looking at. Again, storms are expected to really erupt by mid-late afternoon. Thunderstorms are expected to develop near that surface low that is back through areas in the Midwest, so back in Iowa. That's a very concerning area. And as I mentioned before, when we go over to the current timing right now for Iowa with the HRR model, let's find wherever that is. I think I lost it. Let's go over to Iowa. We'll go back to the HRR model. So when we're looking at Iowa for this afternoon, this is really the most concerning area for a tornado risk. If the cap is able to break, we very well will likely see some very significant supercells develop. Any supercells that develop will be extremely favorable. I'm literally saying extremely favorable because these could very quickly produce a tornado threat within like half an hour to an hour. This is going to be a very dangerous area to be in this afternoon, but a tornado risk is much higher in Iowa tonight, especially in anywhere basically east of Denison in Iowa. That's really where we're looking for that most significant threat. But damaging winds, large hail, the tornado threat will be increased across Iowa. This is where I have a lot more concern tonight about some significant severe weather. So again, you see here by about 7 o'clock, that's what we're looking at here across Iowa is some significant severe weather. All right, I'm just making sure there's no other warnings there. Let me see if there's any other details that we can kind of pick out here. So again, if you're just tuning in, the Storm Prediction Center just issued their latest outlook for today. No major changes. The tornado risk, though, has been connected across areas in Missouri and Illinois. But again, scattered supercells are expected later today with very large hail, tornadoes, and damaging winds. Isolated strong tornadoes may occur as well. That tornado threat for strong tornadoes would likely be in Iowa, if not western Illinois. Let's see. Yeah, so they don't mention anything here that says that they're gonna, potentially consider a high risk. I think they mentioned that last night. I could be mistaken. Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out at 3 o'clock. The 3 o'clock update might be interesting too, but for right now, they're keeping it a moderate. The confidence obviously isn't there, and if they don't have enough confidence to have a high risk of severe weather, that's totally understandable, because the confidence, even for me, is pretty, low at this event anyways. It has been. Iowa's, again, the cap is a big thing. If the cap is strong tonight, we don't really see a whole lot of severe weather. If the cap is very weak and it's eroded, we'll see really significant supercells across Iowa. So what we were looking at on the HRR model is with essentially no cap around 6, 7 o'clock. That is when those supercells erupt here across Iowa and potentially western Illinois. This is what's concerning, because we very well could see some strong tornadoes out of this action. If there is a cap, a very strong cap in place, I don't know if we'll be able to see anything on a different model here. This is a probably, I wouldn't even say this is really that much closer to accurate with a strong cap in place. But if there were to be a strong cap in place, which doesn't seem overly likely right now, the severe weather threat would overall be more limited. It would not be zero, but it would be more limited in nature. So that is something they'll have to watch for tonight as well. This is the most recent HRR model run. You can see here, again, it's been kind of inconsistent with how it develops the storms. Are they linear? Are they discrete? It does still show some discrete cells somewhere in between like Des Moines back through like western Illinois, but this would still be a concerning area for some significant severe weather tonight. This is the most recent model run from the HR. So again, you can kind of see here, 5 o'clock, the HR is now kind of indicating that the cap will be broke by about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, and eventually supercells would end up developing. This is still very concerning though. Across Iowa, I still think this is the most concerning area for significant severe weather tonight. So that is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center on their latest update and outlook for tonight. Just a friendly reminder, there is severe weather right now ongoing. We're keeping a very close eye on this. Damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour, and as well as hen egg-sized hail is still ongoing across areas near Interstate 39 and Interstate 80. This is near Cherry right now. That's where this hail core is. That's where we're potentially seeing hen egg-sized hail. Friendly reminder, this is in northern Illinois, and this is heading toward Chicago. So if you're over in Chicago, a little heads up here, your potential for significant severe weather will exist in about an hour or two if this area of storms is able to survive. It has weakened just the slightest bit over the last hour. It was at 90 mile per hour damaging winds at one point, so just gotta keep that in mind. Thank you for the $4.99 from Ryan. Just had golf ball sized hail and super high winds in Davenport. Thank you for the report. Yeah, we had a lot of reports out of Davenport, Iowa. For anybody that's over in Davenport, there was a ton of hail. Look at all these yellow boxes. This was right around about 10 o'clock this morning. There was reports upwards of tennis ball sized hail. Pool ball sized hail apparently over in Davenport. I've never heard somebody call it a pool ball, but that's basically where we saw tennis ball sized hail over in Davenport. Pool ball can be used in a lot of different fashions. We could be talking about like a volleyball. Talking about, you know, an actual billiard ball, but obviously we're talking about billiard ball. So I don't ever use the term pool ball, but this is where we were looking at a tennis ball sized hail over in Davenport. There was a lot of reports though. They were all mixed, anywhere from quarter size back through, you know, tennis ball sized hail is what we had. There was also a damaging wind gust of 90 miles per hour just south of Davenport. So there was a ton of damage as well. Multiple trees down, shingles off a roof, no power. Can't get out of neighborhood at the moment. That's over in about 1 mile northeast of Rock Island. That was about a couple hours ago now. Bunch of trees down. Yeah, there's several structures within the town of Colonia with collapsed roofs and damage. There was a possible tornado here, but I'm pretty sure it was more of a damaging wind thing. But there was a tornado warning around the same time of when the storms were rolling through east of Davenport. So very concerning stuff for sure across that area. Again, here's the velocities right now back west of Chicago. I'm not concerned too much with a tornado risk out of the storm. It is definitely more of a damaging wind concern right now moving off to the east. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that over the next little while. Friendly reminder, by the way, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. If you're new here, we do live streams, weather forecasts all the time. And also make sure to subscribe. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer some of those in the chat. Hey, no problem, William. Stay safe. Trampoline meter? Guess we gotta pull up the trampoline meter. I haven't actually... I think I showed the trampoline meter in yesterday's forecast. I could be mistaken. Alright, here's your trampoline meter for today. Actually, no, it's not this. It's going to be... 1 second. There we go. So this is your trampoline meter for today. It's not gone forever because we're not looking at a widespread severe weather threat. But if you do see any severe weather, we are currently on a high risk of flying trampolines. I'm trying to maximize this as much as I can. Let's do that. So yeah, again, we're on extreme risk of flying trampolines today. And again, make sure you hatch down your trampolines if they're in your yard. Cover plants. Take down any patio umbrellas. You do not want your trampoline to look like this, or this. Yes, these are all real photos, and yes, these all happened within the last 4 weeks. This trampoline actually flew onto a power pole in Illinois. I cannot remember who sent this in, but yeah, that's another example of just absolutely madness. And again, this is another thing that we saw in North Texas. All the other ones are from North Texas, so that was from a damaging wind event around 80 miles per hour. So make sure you secure your trampolines. We're on an extreme risk of flying trampolines for today. So yeah, again, make sure you secure your trampolines. And the trash can meter is at a gone forever stage. I need to find the trash can meter. I still do not have a graphic that puts the arrow at the bottom, but this is what we're looking at for the trash can meter for today. So again, we are looking at a gone forever stage on your on your trash cans. The wind gusts will be high pretty much across the entire Midwest today. So that's where we're at. We're at a gone forever stage. Yes, I don't know why I make these graphics, but I do. All right, I think I missed something. Thank you, Dawn, for the $4.99. How's Madison, Wisconsin looking? Haven't heard much about my area from my meteorologist or weatherman. All right, let me check out Madison, Wisconsin. Madison is going to be slightly further off to the north of the warm front, so that kind of limits your severe weather threat a little bit. If we go over to the timing again, let me go over to this screen. We're going to do a lot of this probably in this live stream, but this is the timing for Iowa. Let's go to Wisconsin. I'll just change this graphic out. So for Wisconsin specifically, the warm front is going to lift far enough to the north probably for significant severe weather, but you could at least see some large hail and damaging winds if any of these storms are able to really stay alive through that area. And you can see the HR model kind of picks up on that. Storms kind of rolling through there, Madison. So be mindful of this. We very well could see some damaging winds and large hail through Madison, but I'm not overly concerned right now with the tornado risk that far off to the north, but still have a way to receive alerts and have that tornado action plan in place just in case. It's really going to depend on how far north that warm front goes, and you may notice here, the temperatures in Madison only get up to like 55 degrees at the warmest, and that's really not supportive enough for significant severe weather. They are a bit warmer tomorrow morning when that potential for isolated severe weather will exist there, but again, the threat still does kind of remain low at this point. Yeah, Wisconsin's kind of a weird area right now with the warm front timing. That's kind of a critical point there, but it does seem like you'll probably not see too significant of severe weather. St. Louis is in the track of severe weather. Yes. Again, you might see some, you might not, but you are in the risk for severe weather. In fact, the latest Storm Prediction Center update that just came out literally moments ago, the tornado risk has extended. It is, that's not the tornado risk. That's a significant tornado risk. The tornado risk is extended now. This is your 10% region within a 25-mile radius of a tornado. This is your 15% area within a 25-mile radius of a tornado, 5%. And 2%. Again, the 10% has connected. St. Louis is actually in the hatched region for a strong tornado, but again, the chances of one singular location seeing a strong tornado are very low, but you want to make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts and having a tornado action plan in place tonight. If you're back in Iowa especially, make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Iowa looks a lot more concerning than really a lot of other areas tonight, but everybody should be prepared for severe weather regardless of where you are here across this entire region. 15% probability again up here is definitely fairly concerning, and I would not be surprised if it goes higher than that. I would not be surprised with a high risk if confidence does grow this afternoon. So we'll see if they do end up doing that. Again, I'm not the Storm Prediction Center. I have zero clue if they will, but at this point, I would not be shocked if they were to end up maybe increasing to a high risk of maybe that tornado threat, but again, they might not do that. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But I would say the chances are a little bit lower that they do that now since we're getting closer to, like, you know, the storms won't fire up probably until like 4 or 5 o'clock, but here's some of the wording, by the way, from the Storm Prediction Center on today. I'm going to go through some of the more wording that we just got. Which again, the wording, I mean, it's basically what we're basically looking at today. So some of the new wording for those in the Midwest specifically, and as well as obviously through this moderate risk down here in Missouri. Some of the newest wording here is that we're going to be looking at the potential. Let me do this, do that. But we're going to be looking at the threat for several tornadoes. A few intense tornadoes are possible, and they could again be violent, strong, long tracked. Those are all possibilities. I would expect that to be a bit higher of a concern in Iowa. Scattered large hail, some baseball-sized hail is possible, so they're basically putting the cap of hail probably somewhere in the range of 3 to 3.5 inches in diameter. Again, some baseball-sized hail kind of implies that we're probably looking at least a couple of storms with baseball-sized hail and maybe slightly greater. Scattered damaging winds. Again, this is not going to be as widespread of a severe weather event as we had on Friday, but it is still very, very significant. We have a lot higher, I would say we have a higher tornado risk if any storms are able to develop. That is where we'll see a higher tornado risk with any of those discrete cells this afternoon and evening, especially in Iowa, and even back through areas in the Ozarks, definitely in that possibility as well, back through even northeast Texas. Tornadoes, severe thunderstorm gusts, and large hail are possible today and tonight from the upper Great Lakes to central Texas. Tornado potential is focused today over parts of Iowa and Illinois this afternoon. And tonight, again, listen to those keywords closely. Timing is today in Iowa, Illinois. tonight is when we'll see severe weather in the Ozarks back through northeast Texas. That's the area that we're looking at for tonight. Anything basically down here will be tonight for the most part. So this is all tonight. Anything up here is very well in play to be today, especially back up into here. This is definitely going to be today, back up into this area. I know there's a lot of random lines, but this is definitely today here. But again, timing is different. Mainly because the low pressure system, again, is not really set up yet. The low pressure system is still back over here. So once it moves a bit further up to here, we'll start to have that dry line and the cold front kind of set up, and we'll eventually see storms initiate probably overnight tonight once we have an initiator for those storms, which you don't really yet have here across this entire region. But that initiator will be in place, which will be that dry line, and as well as the cold front back up into Iowa later today. We can also go to the actual radar here. You actually can see if we go to do the infrared imagery, but I kind of want to do something else. Let's try this. I'm gonna try to pull something up. Need that, and we'll do that. This is the 6-hour loop on the infrared imagery. You actually kind of see the low pressure system. It's really hard to pick out. You probably can't really notice where it is. Low pressure system, though, is centered right here. It's very, very wide. We have a lot of snow ongoing back up here. You can see all the snow reports, by the way. I have a blizzard ongoing back up into the Dakotas, but also the severe weather that's been firing up. You can kind of see that on the infrared imagery as well. And if we take off the radar and the Storm Prediction Center outline here, that's what we're looking at right now. And you can kind of see how that storm just explodes here over Iowa and now into Illinois. So pretty cool stuff here. If we go a little bit closer, you can see that much easier. There was a tornado warning, by the way, with this earlier, but obviously that's obviously expired. That happened earlier. Let's go back over to here. Let me take off the 6-hour loop. There we go. Oh, nope, still going. All right, I think this glitched out because I'm trying to get off the 6-hour loop and it doesn't want me to. Oh, there we go. Nope, there we go. All right. Update on the severe thunderstorm warning in Iowa. We are now down to ping pong ball sized hail, as well as damaging winds up to 70. So this warning was originally upwards of 80 miles per hour. We're back down to 70, and we're also down on the hailstone size to ping pong balls. We just had a report out of Cherry in Illinois of golf ball sized hail. So just a little heads up there. We have a new report there of golf ball sized hail as of just moments ago. So a little update there on that end. Thank you, David, for the $5 super chat. What time do you think Southeast Missouri will have the biggest tornado threat? Let's go ahead and go through the timing. It's probably gonna be later tonight. Let me I'll put up on this monitor and bring it over. Yeah, Southeast Iowa would probably be later tonight, if not even tomorrow. Let's go ahead and pull this up, and we'll do this. And bada bing, bada boom. So for Southeast Missouri, if you're down, like, I'm guessing you're south of St. Louis, the threat really is going to be overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, most likely. That is when your greater threat is. I would expect that threat to be a bit higher, though, tomorrow morning. You can see here a few storms potentially closer to, like, late tomorrow morning and into the afternoon. That is when that severe weather threat is more increased. If we even go to the HRR model, we're looking at two different ones, but overall, the severe weather potential down that direction is more of an increased threat overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, potentially through the early afternoon hours tomorrow as well. Very similar stuff even on the HRR model. So not a whole lot different, but we're really looking at more of a threat during the overnight tonight into tomorrow morning for Southeast Iowa. We'll go back to here. Check out a few other questions here. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, friendly reminder to subscribe down below. And like the stream as well if you are new here. And this is why I make the trampoline meter, by the way. We just had a photo out of, from Justin. We just had a photo out of Indiana from Friday night. So, again, this is what happens. We had a gone forever trampoline risk. And this is what happens to trampolines. Again, that was from Justin Burton out of Indiana. Telling you, the trampoline meter does have a purpose. All right, let me go back to wherever this was. There we go. Thank you, Sprint, for the $4.99. What all are we looking at from south of Indiana to Louisville tomorrow during the day? Damaging winds is the main concern down that direction, but an isolated tornado threat does still exist. Mid-Michigan is the main threat for tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow's severe weather potential, if you guys have not already seen, has increased. Yes, there is an enhanced risk of severe weather tomorrow. This is going to be for tomorrow. You can see there's a huge enhanced risk of severe weather now that extends from Michigan all the way back through areas in Arkansas. And one of the big concerns tomorrow, the tornado risk is actually higher across the basically eastern Midwest into Michigan as well as northwestern Ohio. This is where we could see an isolated strong tornado. There is a hatched area here for an isolated strong tornado. In addition to that, the hail threat has also increased. We have a 30% probability here within a 25-mile radius across this entire region from eastern Illinois back through Michigan. And in addition to that, the damaging wind potential is primarily down to your south, but you still have a threat up there. I'd say the large hail threat, as well as that tornado risk, are definitely a bit higher in Michigan. So make sure you are prepared for that tomorrow. We have a new report out of Mendota, Illinois, of golf ball-sized hail. So this storm is warned for ping pong ball-sized hail, but it's probably closer to golf ball-sized hail right now with this hail core located over Interstate 39 near Irville. That's where our most significant hail is right now falling. Thank you, DK, for the $5 super chat. What is the current risk for Chicago? Chicago is going to be more of a damaging wind threat once, if the area of storms does arrive this afternoon. This is more of a concern for damaging winds once it arrives. But overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, that is when there will be a chance for damaging winds and an isolated tornado threat, primarily during the morning tomorrow. Probably after sunrise. That is when that threat increases near Chicago and anywhere in the suburbs as well. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else here. All right, cool. Just tuning in, by the way, make sure to like the stream as well. Will there be hail in Green Bay? Probably not. Hail threat's definitely going to be low up there. It's possible, but it's a low threat. I would expect it to be probably to your east. If you do have any severe storms in the morning, though, and if it's warm enough, that's the thing. Will it be actually warm enough to support severe weather? Hail is definitely not out of the question, but like large to very large hail is probably a lower threat since it probably will not be as warm up that direction. Hoping it dies down before it makes it to Ohio. The severe weather should be a little bit less when it makes it to Ohio. We'll go back over to here since we have a second anyways. So Ohio is going to probably not see, like, you'll probably see some severe weather depending on where you are. Western half of the state will have the best chance for that. It's going to be during the afternoon. Damaging wind concern is more than anything going to be our threat, but there will be a potential for an isolated tornado, especially with something like this where we have a little cluster of storms. We could see an embedded tornado. There will be a tornado parameter around 1, which indicates like a very low chance for a tornado or two across Ohio, and then eventually we'll have another secondary area of storms during the evening once that cold front eventually arrives. That's also where we could see a little bit of severe weather as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now in terms of the severe weather potential across Ohio. I'm more concerned about areas in the northwestern and western side of the state. If we look at that outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, let's go up to here and go over to the threats for tomorrow. Tomorrow, though, right now is an enhanced risk, obviously. Primarily, actually, it's into the entire state of Ohio. But I'm much more concerned, I would say, about the tornado threat to the west and northwest, and as well as that hail threat. It is a bit more concerning off to the west and northwest. The reason why there's an enhanced risk of severe weather across the entire state is primarily for the damaging wind concern for tomorrow. The hail threat, though, and the tornado risk are primarily up here in the northwestern side of the state right now. Now, give or take some, direction on that as well. And not just that, again, we can see tornadoes outside of an enhanced risk. It's not out of the question. I cannot stress this enough. Even if you're not in the moderate risk or enhanced risk today, still have multiple ways to receive alerts, and make sure you have a tornado action plan in place, because there could be a tornado outside of those two regions. And it's, again, some people kind of miss that sometimes. A slight risk of severe weather, all it means is that there is a slightly lower chance of severe weather than an area like this, or even the enhanced risk. But it does not mean your chances are like near zero. They're not near zero by any means today across anywhere in the Midwest, or even back through areas in the Ozarks. Let's go back over to here. I'm going to put this on here for a second. We're going back to the live radar in a second. I don't think there's any other updates on the radar right now. But again, this is the potential tonight. We could see some discrete cells forming right around 5, 6 o'clock. We're watching that potential very closely across Iowa later today. Yes, tennis ball-sized hail was reported out of Davenport, Iowa a little bit earlier. I am aware of that. Thank you. I saw that a little while ago. Let's go over to here again. We'll go back to the live radar feed for now. Again, this is what we're looking at right now. Oh, actually, we have a new report. This warning is way under what it probably should be. Pretty much breaking news right now. We have tennis ball sized hail that was just reported in Troy Grove. So again, this warning is way underdone right now. So if you're anywhere in Ottawa, Sheridan, anywhere in this part of Illinois, hail has now been confirmed around tennis ball sized hail in Troy Grove. That was as of only 5 minutes ago. So again, this storm is right now producing up to tennis ball sized hail in Illinois. Yes, this is a live storm that's ongoing. I know some of you might be surprised there's a storm ongoing right now. We actually have multiple storms ongoing. This one's currently west of Chicago, fairly far west right now. It's in the far west suburbs. But this is currently an area right now near Ottawa that is up to tennis ball sized hail. So again, this is now tennis ball. It's not ping pong ball sized hail. I know it looks like it is probably not that strong, but the temperatures aloft this morning especially are much cooler in the atmosphere. So the hail threat naturally will be increased since the warm front literally just passed over the past like hour. So also the warning back up in Ogle County, Illinois, this one over here, has been upgraded to $half sized. So that's gonna be for Byron and whatnot. That is not updated on this end yet. This is the latest radar scan, by the way. So Irville, that is where that hail core is located, potentially tennis ball sized hail ongoing. And back near Mendota, that is another area that we could be talking about the potential for even some tennis ball sized hail as well. So again, two separate areas that we're looking at right now for some very significant hailstones in Illinois. Again, this is a very, very concerning look right now. We have two different pockets of hail, upwards of tennis ball sized, west of Chicago. If you know anybody in this part of Illinois, make sure that they are aware of this hail. And this is currently moving off to the northeast. Actually, let's go over to the velocities real quick. I'm curious. I don't know if there's any I don't think there's any rotation, but yeah, no rotation with these storms right now, which is good news. But obviously the bigger problem right now is the hail. If we go over to the hail radar, we can actually go and pull that up on here. Go to here on the hail radar. So when we look at the hail radar, at least gives us an idea of what we're looking at in terms of the hail. With this storm, what has at least been estimated by radar, and here's your hail track right here. You can actually see it's very clearly depicted here, back just southwest of Irville over the last several minutes. This is about 5 minutes delayed. Irville is currently seeing large hail, and believe it or not, the hail track on radar did not even go through Mendota, but Mendota actually saw large hail, so you can actually see the computer is not really picking up on that. So again, tennis ball sized hail was just confirmed over in Troy Grove moments ago. The storm has had a consistent history of producing golf ball sized hail. I know the threat right now says ping pong ball, but it is definitely larger than that with this storm. So again, if you're anywhere back over here in northern sections of Illinois, make sure you're staying away from windows. Again, blowing hail is not out of the question as well, which blowing hail or drifting hail, windy hail, whatever you want to call it. That's when hail is actually like going sidewards. So we don't want to really see that. That can sometimes go into windows. So just keep that in mind. Stay away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. And for perspective, again, this is west of Chicago right now. And I'm not sure what the exact distance is here from Chicago. We're going to go and check that out. So this is Chicago here. It's a good 70 miles-ish from Chicago. So it's a good 70 miles right now away from Chicago. So if these storms are to impact Chicago, they're probably a good hour and 30 minutes away. So around 1:30. I said that about an hour ago when we went live. It was probably going to arrive there around 1:30. That's still the timing. The timing has definitely not changed there. New severe thunderstorm warning for those over in Oregon, Ashton, as well as Stewart, Amboy, Dixon, Hammond. These areas are into a new severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and as well as ping pong ball sized hail. Our hail cores that are currently sticking out to me are going to be basically in this entire region here, especially back just to the south of Polo near Dixon. There's also a couple of little other pockets of hail that we could be watching for. This could very well be around $quarter to $half sized. So again, make sure that you are staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. That is near Dixon right now where we're seeing that threat. We had a recent hail report back over in Carroll County, Illinois of quarter-sized hail. I think we have a couple of viewers from Carroll County. So that's the latest update there. More concerningly, we're still watching this storm that has produced up to tennis ball-sized hail in the last 5 minutes. If you have any photos or videos or anything like that, feel free to tweet me on Twitter. Again, that link is in the description below. I'm at MaxVelocityWX. We have a report now out of Polo, Illinois of ping pong ball sized hail. That is back up into here. I just mentioned that. That's probably where that hail core is. We do have a report now of ping pong ball sized hail there. We have a new report of baseball sized hail out of Arlington, Illinois. This photo has also been relayed to the National Weather Service. Now we're up to baseball-sized hail potential right now near Arlington, Illinois. Or at least that happened recently. Let me just double check. There was at least baseball-sized hail now with the storm. So recently there's been tennis ball-sized hail. That's been confirmed. So in Arlington, moments ago, there was baseball-sized hail just confirmed with this storm, or at least reported. The sizes were primarily hen egg to tennis ball-sized hail, but we have a report now of baseball-sized hail being the maximum hailstone size with this storm. So some fairly destructive hail is currently happening with this storm. I know the warning still says ping pong ball. It is higher than that. Troy Grove, Illinois, new report, tennis ball-sized hail out of there as well. That is another area that we've had now two separate reports of hail there just to the north of Interstate 80 near Interstate 39. Two separate reports now of tennis ball-sized hail over the last several minutes. Those are the most recent reports. Again, if you're anywhere in this region, we now have new reports of tennis to baseball-sized hail ongoing. This, again, west of Chicago. Also, some reminders for today. If you're in the path of severe weather, great precautions that you should do right now. Take down patio umbrellas. Make sure you're covering plants. Hatch down trampolines, that sort of thing. Any loose lawn items, bring them inside. Also, make sure you charge your devices, like your phone, your iPad. Do that right now and not later in case you do end up losing power. Replace batteries and flashlights. That's another big one. Make sure you do that. And yeah, that's what you need to do now. Have your tornado action plan in place now and not later. If you're in a mobile home, that's not a safe place during severe weather. You should find alternate shelter for that. If you're in an apartment building, you're on the second or third floor, go to the first floor, find a friend on the first floor and say, hey, can I shelter here if there's a tornado warning? Just, you know, do that sort of thing. Good precautions to take and good reminders as well. Warning has been condensed. It's now north of Interstate 80. They still have this warned at ping pong ball sized hail. I'm kind of still surprised by that. Again, we've had recent reports in the last several minutes of hail upwards of tennis ball sized hail and as well as even up to baseball size. So still seeing some very large hail here. So just keep that in mind. Again, that is currently near Interstate 39. Back through areas like Irville, Sheridan, Troy Grove, and Mendota, Illinois. This is where we're seeing some significant severe weather right now. I'm going to see if we have any live cam view on this storm. I don't think we do, but we'll check. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to like the stream. Subscribe as well if you're new here. Also, click the bell icon so you're always notified when we go live. See some of the ominous skies here. This is just one little photo here. Exit 59, Interstate 39 south. Nothing too crazy, though, from there. Yeah, we don't have any live cams directly on the storm, but we'll keep you posted if we have any. Yeah, so the cap is something that prevents severe weather. It's essentially a lid on storms developing. That's like the simplest way to put it. I always say it's a temperature inversion and stuff like that, and it's basically what prevents supercells. That's one way to put it as well. That's like literally pretty much the definition. But a cap is essentially a temperature inversion a little bit higher up into the atmosphere, so around 10,000 feet sometimes. There will be a point where the temperature warms instead of cools down. Usually when we go up into the atmosphere, increasing altitude means decreasing pressure. But in some cases, at some point in the atmosphere, there's a brief area where we have an increasing altitude, but an increasing temperature. When that happens, clouds are basically capped from developing. That's what a cap is. Clouds are not able to develop to a certain point. That prevents supercell storms from developing. But once that cap is overcome by either cooler temperatures aloft or temperatures that are warmer at the surface, that is when storms are able to actually develop, get past that cap, and we eventually see supercell thunderstorms. Caps are not always in play in a lot of areas. The Midwest doesn't see cap play that often. The Great Plains see the cap a lot with severe weather events, especially Texas and Oklahoma. Those areas are most greatly impacted by a cap. But further up here to the north and east, it's usually not nearly as much of a factor. But for those even in Iowa, it does happen occasionally, which is what we're looking at this afternoon, is that potential for a cap being in place. Latest radar scan on the storm near Troy Grove. We are still watching a pretty hefty hail core here south of Irville, east of Interstate 39. This is where we're still watching for the threat of upwards of baseball-sized hail right now. Again, most recent reports were around baseball-sized hail. We've had tennis ball-sized hail, hen egg-sized hail, a lot of those reports. The maximum hailstone size that we've had so far was baseball-sized hail with this storm. Just making sure we have no other reports here. Yeah, So yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. Again, that's the main hail core. There is a potential also for maybe ping pong ball sized hail back near Irville and Leland right now. This is the more concerning hail core that is west of Sheridan. It'll be approaching Sheridan in the next 7 minutes. Back up here in the north, again, for those back anywhere near Amboy, Dixon, Oregon, or Byron, this area is currently watching for the threat of ping pong ball sized hail. We just had confirmation of ping pong ball sized hail with this storm near Polo a few moments ago. This hail core is pretty large. This is the main hail core right now approaching Oregon, and also back near Dixon, there's another pocket here of hail that is moving quickly off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. That's actually not that quick. But going towards Franklin Grove and eventually going towards Interstate 39 and the Interstate 88 section. So again, that's what we're looking at right now out that direction. Let's see. Just gonna double check to see if we have anything new. And for those that are wondering, the most significant severe weather potential for this afternoon and evening will likely start between 4 to 8 o'clock, or 4 to 7 o'clock, and that'll be primarily in Iowa, Illinois. Again, what we're watching out there this morning is some storm development that happened way before we're going to see those discrete supercells develop, and these are the ones that are not going to be as concerning. The tornado risk is much lower with these. It's much more of a hail and damaging wind concern right now. I wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado out of this, but the threat does remain very low. The low-level jet is it's not very weak over here, but it's much weaker than areas that it will be back over in the west a little bit later today. And again, these storms are so early in the day, that's going to have a bit more of a more difficult time to produce that tornado risk. And overall, the threat of tornadoes from the Storm Prediction Center, they mentioned it's a low threat. Strong tornadoes, it's a very low threat. I don't really anticipate any strong tornadoes out of this, but if a storm can become organized and the low-level jet does increase a bit over the next hour, it's not out of the question that we do get an isolated tornado. Damaging winds and hail, though, are still our main concerns across the Midwest right now for the next few hours. Again, that is out of this storm action. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch for Chicago until 3 o'clock this afternoon. That is our bigger concern right now for severe weather. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I have no clue. I'd never think about that. Never think about that. Couldn't actually really give you an answer to that, I'm not gonna lie. I could see myself in multiple years in 5 years. I don't know. I could see myself really in multiple areas, in 5 years. I have zero clue. My thoughts on central Arkansas. Yeah, it's gonna be more of an overnight threat. That's a nocturnal potential for damaging winds, large hail, and tornado risk. It's more higher overnight tonight, especially for those back over in Arkansas, as well as eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri. So just make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts tonight. That is an area that I'm much more concerned about, though, for overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Not really that concerned right now through the afternoon and evening, though. Could rule out an isolated storm, but the threat does remain low. Is this the only wave that's going to hit Illinois? No, this is not. This is only one of like multiple that'll impact the Illinois region. It depends on where you are in Illinois. If you're talking about like the Chicago area, this round of storms will happen throughout the afternoon. You'll have another threat most likely into tomorrow morning. That could produce some large hail and maybe an isolated tornado risk. That'll be primarily during tomorrow morning, though. This hail core is getting absolutely wild right now. Back over in Oregon, Mount Morris, and Dixon. This is a very scary looking area here, back over here. We could be talking about very, very large hail here. Back out north of Interstate, I believe 88. Yeah, 88, that's near Dixon. Again, brand new update here on the latest radar scan. Looking at some very significant hailstone sizes potentially. Back near Mount Morris, Oregon, north of Dixon. Make sure that you are staying away from windows. Very significant hail potential is currently ongoing here. That is just to the west of Interstate 39 and north of Interstate 88. Thanks, Brett, for the $2 super chat. What about West Michigan? West Michigan is primarily going to be a damaging wind, hail, and tornado threat. You basically have all modes of severe weather tomorrow, but I'm more concerned probably about the hail and tornado risk. So that's tomorrow, though. That's not today. I imagine he'll be looking at weather. I cannot disagree with that. I have a friend in Mount Morris. Yeah, Mount Morris right now looks like there's a hail core right now, like just to the east. Or like maybe a mile east of there, that is where this massive hail core is ongoing. Anywhere in this black shaded region would represent very large hail potential. Doesn't mean large hail is definitely falling. It just means that there's definitely a potential there for it. So very significant hail could be falling here around Route 2, north of Dixon, near Oregon. Is anybody in this area in this warning in chat? Just curious if anybody's in this warning right now. Let me know in chat. But yeah, there's definitely potentially some significant hail here. We've not yet had a report of significant severe weather here, but we'll probably get something here in a moment from this region. Yeah, this is pretty bad. This is a pretty bad storm. I mean, this is getting pretty crazy. The velocities, by the way, we're not really looking at rotation on this storm right now. It's definitely more of a hail concern. Back down here to the south, by the way, we're still watching a hail core upwards of maybe, I can't rule out hen egg to baseball-sized hail. Somewhere in that range is still not impossible. I know the warnings for ping pong ball, but we've been watching reports recently of tennis ball-sized hail. We had a maximum hailstone size already of baseball-sized hail out of that storm. We had a couple of reports of that. So hailstone sizes are a bit higher than what these warnings are advertising right now, or at least out of that one. Yeah, this hail core is pretty wild. And we're also a little bit further away from the radar site. Just kind of keep that in the back of your head. If we actually go to the closer up one, it might be a little bit more realistic here. But you can see here. There you go. No, it's still pretty bad. Yeah, either way, I mean, we're kind of in between two radar sites. But this is still a very nasty looking supercell here near Oregon, Illinois. Potentially, again, upwards of baseball-sized hail is not impossible with this storm. This is very significant hail, though. Without a doubt. Still waiting to see if we get any reports there. If not yet. This hail core's gotten really large, though, without a doubt. You're supposed to be house hunting in this area today. That is interesting. Might be an interesting house hunting experience. Hey, no problem, Mason. Stay safe. Yeah, so somebody in chat just said they're in the hailstorm right now, and it's crazy. So, yeah, it gives you an idea. I mean, this is obviously a pretty large hail core, and I wish we had some sort of live cam on this, but this is what we're looking at right now. Very significant hail right now near Route 2. It's moving through Oregon. It's going to be going towards Rochelle pretty shortly. Interstate 39 and Creston, north of Interstate 88 right now. That is where a very significant hail core is. We'll have a new radar scan here in just a moment. We're going to go back to the other radar site because I think we'll get a better look at this storm. And this is the most recent. This literally just came in. We are looking at the potential for very large hail right now over Route 2 in Oregon. Going back down here to the south, this is north of Interstate 88. Very significant hail potentially falling right now. Make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building in this area. Very significant hail right now ongoing. Back down here to the south, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for ping pong ball sized hail. Damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. This is near Irville and northeast of Troy Grove. This is where we had recent reports of tennis ball sized hail going towards Leland, and as well as Sandwich, and as well as going potentially closer to Route 30 up here to the north. That's going to be just to the west of Aurora in Illinois. Make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Again, we have a very nasty hailstorm a bit further up here to the north, though. That is much more concerning right now. Again, we have not had any recent reports yet out of the storm of hail. I am awaiting to see if we get any. If you're in the chat and you're in this area, feel free to let me know. I know we have a couple of people right now watching from here, so... Northeast Illinois could be hit as early as literally today, like this afternoon with this area of storms, or you could be hit tomorrow morning, or both. So, that's your two risks. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in, make sure to subscribe down below, like the stream if you've been enjoying it so far. Helps get this out to a lot more people as well that are in the track of this severe weather. There's a lot of good stuff. But yeah, we are watching a very significant hail core right now over Oregon. Go over the 30-minute loop real quick. Kind of give you an idea of what's actually happening here. This is the last 30 minutes, so with this storm. It has really exploded in intensity over the last 30 minutes. See it here. Huge hail core has developed over Oregon near Dixon. Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now here across northern parts of Illinois right now. Moving off to the east-northeast. Hey, stay safe in Sandwich, Illinois. Stay safe. Sandwich is in the track of that ping pong ball-sized hailstorm, but I would not rule out larger hailstone sizes. As I mentioned before, this storm recently has been confirmed, or at least reported. I'm not going to say confirmed because the reports, at least from what I've heard, there's actually been photographic evidence of it, but there's been around baseball-sized hail up to that. But tennis ball to like hen egg has been the main range. That's 2-inch diameter to 2.5 inches in diameter near Troy Grove. That storm's moving up here to the northeast right now. Yeah, this hail core is absolutely wild right now. I mean, we are looking at a huge, huge hail core. Questionable, thanks for the 199. The main threat right now for northwest Indiana will be the threat for large hail and a tornado risk. Again, don't be there's no reason to be, I mean, obviously nerves come with any severe weather event. Trust me, I've had nerves with any severe weather event as well. But just make sure you're prepared. That's all you got to do. Just make sure you're prepared. Have proper precautions in place. Have your tornado action plan in place. But the main concerns right now for that region, if you are to see severe weather, which not everybody will, you'll have the threat for large hail and maybe a tornado risk. Thank you, Dust, for the $5 super chat. Is the biggest threat for northwest Indiana going to be tonight or tomorrow? The threat would likely be tomorrow morning into the early afternoon hours. I'm not expecting much of any threat tonight. Or even today, to be honest with you. Wouldn't rule out an isolated storm, but the threat is going to be low tonight. Oregon, Illinois, hail fell 10 minutes ago. Your stream saved my car. Put it away just before it hit. I am glad. I'm honestly glad. I'm glad I was able to help you out. That's why I do these live streams. Glad I was able to help you get your car into your safe place. Or into the safe place of a garage. Tempted to go out and get my girlfriend's car from her work. What area are you in? Because if you're anywhere like in, I'll just kind of put in perspective. If you're anywhere in, do a little outline here. But anywhere in this area right now, I would definitely consider, or at least I would like highly recommend right now, you put your car into your garage or whatever, because this is an area that, again, I don't know if Chicago will be impacted that greatly by this. Temperatures are a bit cooler near the coastline here of the Great Lakes, but if this severe weather is able to last, we could see some significant hail. This storm has been the most concerning by far over the last several minutes. We're talking about a very significant hail core. In the very immediate short term, if you're anywhere near Kirkland, Davis Junction, or Malta, these areas, you want to make sure you have already taken those precautions now and not later, because we're still looking at a very massive hailstorm here. Whether we're seeing very large hail or a lot of hail that's kind of in the more medium side of things, wow, look at the correlation coefficient in Oregon right now. That right there is indicating a ton of hail that's falling. Just putting that into perspective there. That is a lot of hail that's falling right now with this storm. All that green and blue that you're seeing, that's either a lot of hail that's kind of maybe in like the quarter, $half ping pong ball sized hail department, or this could be very well just some large hail that's falling upwards of even baseball size. That is insane, though. This storm has gotten very, very intense over the last several minutes here. Again, west of Interstate 39 right now. This is a massive, massive hailstorm. Atkinson, Illinois just had a report of a semi-truck flipped on the median of Interstate 80. 3 miles west of Atkinson, Illinois. Again, just relaying a report from Smarter Network. Semi-truck was flipped in the median on Interstate 80. That's the latest report out of there. We are now up to baseball-sized hail. This is breaking. We have now a baseball-sized hailstorm, along with the potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. I am going to post this on Twitter. Again, destructive cell right now in northern Illinois, producing baseball-sized hail, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. I have already mentioned this multiple times. I was not surprised by this by any means, but again, all right, so again, baseball-sized hail, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Stay away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Cannot stress it enough, be away from windows in a shelter. If you have no option away from windows, a bathroom is usually the safest place, but stay away from windows as far enough as possible as you can. This is not a tornado, but damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour is pretty close to an EF0 type tornado, or actually is technically like an EF0 tornado. In addition to that, baseball-sized hail can even be going sidewards. It could even fly into windows. So you want to make sure that you're staying away from windows right now. If you're anywhere here in northern Oregon, this is a very dangerous supercell. Again, we're not seeing any rotation right now in terms of like a tornado risk, but we are looking at a massive hailstorm and as well as the threat for some very high damaging winds. And I've mentioned this before, the correlation coefficient, which indicates debris being lofted up into the atmosphere typically, but in some cases when there's hailstorms, it indicates the hail falling. There is a ton of hail falling. This is all hail right here, and you can see here the blue, that's dark. That is indicating some, like, a lot of hail potentially falling right now over in Oregon and north of Interstate 88. So a very significant hailstorm right now ongoing. Again, stay away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. This is a very dangerous supercell right now. Also, a quick update on the storm further to the south. Again, still producing the threat upwards of ping pong ball sized hail, maybe up to golf ball size. That's going towards Sandwich and Leland. This is moving east-northeast right now. It's going basically traveling across Route 34. Just a little heads up there. We're going to primarily stay on this storm, though. Again, we don't have any recent report, or we don't at least have any reports in the last few minutes of hail with this storm. Obviously, there has been hail. I've had a few people in chat in the Oregon area say there has been hail. Obviously, we just don't have any, like, specific sizes or anything like that quite yet. Is anybody in this area, just anybody in this area right now, obviously don't go anywhere near windows, but have you seen, like, is there a lot of hail falling? Does it look large? Just let me know. And here's the latest radar scan. So again, largest hail right now is located right in here. That's going to just be now to the east of Oregon. It is going to be approaching Interstate 39 over the next several minutes. And Kirkland also, by the way, a little hailstorm potentially going on here near Kirkland, Illinois. That is going to be a couple counties to the south of Wisconsin. That is west of Chicago right now. Another little hailstorm developing there. Would not be surprised if that gets warned as well. Tons of hail. Can't really see the size in Oregon. Thank you for the report. Yeah, don't go close to windows. Just stay away from them. But thanks, Bobby. I appreciate it. All right, so we have a report from Oregon at this point that there's been a lot of hail. Right now, believe it or not, there's been quarter-sized hail. That's the maximum hailstone size that somebody reported about 40 minutes ago. So this isn't even from the storm that's ongoing. Just kidding. That was from 40 minutes ago. That was probably from this storm over near Kirkland is my guess. Let's go back to 1140 real quick. 1140 was probably this storm activity here. So that is not what's going on right now. I was about to say, if this is only nickel-sized hail or quarter-sized hail or whatever that's falling, there's probably like sheets of it probably falling if that was the case. But I'm pretty sure this is not quarter-sized hail. It has to be larger than that. How much hail that we're seeing. Again, the correlation coefficient is legitimately picking up on a huge chunk of hail right now falling just to the east of Oregon, southwest of Davis Junction, west of Interstate 39. That is a very significant hail core right now. Correlation coefficient, by the way, for those that are like, what in the world are you talking about? It usually picks up debris being lifted up into the atmosphere with like a tornado, but in this case, this is just a lot of hail. It does pick up hail quite often, especially when there's a lot of hail or large hail falling, and that's what's really occurring right here right now. That's all hail. You can actually see it up here with the Kirkland storm too. It's actually indicating some hail there as well. The storm also back over in Lakeland has the same thing going for it. That is hail right now falling. So again, the radar is picking up on that hail, which is likely, again, potentially sheets of hail that are falling right now. So that is what we're looking at right now out there. This is Northern Illinois, by the way, if you're just tuning in. This is currently happening live. This is not a future radar or anything like that. Now, is that even possible? I'm talking about like the correlation coefficient. Might be asking a lot of questions on how is that even possible. We do have a report of flooding over in Foreston, by the way. That's in Ogle County, Illinois. Water is beginning to flow over the Highway 26 between Foreston and Polo. Again, on Highway 26, just a little heads up, there is a little bit of flooding there. Rain will start to wind down over the next hour, by the way. So, a little bit of good news there. Hey, thank you, Brad, for the $20 super chat. Very generous donation. Thank you very much. Hey, stay safe in Hills, Illinois. Appreciate the very generous $20 super chat. Let's get some claps in the chat for Brad. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are monitoring a destructive hailstorm producing baseball-sized hail and damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour. Yes, I said 80 miles per hour. This is a destructive supercell right now moving off to the east. Again, this is a very dangerous situation that we're seeing unfold here. You're going to want to make sure that you are staying away from windows. This is in northern Lee County, back through Ogle County. That is where the severe thunderstorm warning is ongoing. Again, this is currently approaching Rochelle, Creston, and Davis Junction. That is where we're looking at a very large hailstorm. We have another hailstorm back down here to the south that is taking a bit more of a trajectory towards Chicago. But again, it's going to be a question of whether it actually gets to Chicago or not at this point. That's still a good, I'd say about an hour right now away from Chicago. So just, again, that's probably going to be the timing for you if you're in Chicago. It's a good hour from now. Hey, stay safe, Roy. Stay safe. Here's the latest radar scan. It looks like the hail might be going down just a little bit. There's probably still a lot of hail falling, though. The correlation coefficient was picking up on a ton of it. Main hail core is approaching Davis Junction right now. It'll be approaching Interstate 39 here in a few minutes as well. So again, make sure you're staying away from windows. Again, I would not rule out the potential for some tennis ball sized hail falling with the storm as well. So just keep that in mind. Again, that is not out of the question. It might go down like a little bit in the next, like, you know, National Weather Service update, but that's potentially going to be a threat over here as well. Would be more of a tennis ball sized hail threat in comparison to like baseball size, so it might get downgraded just a smidge. Thank you, Ingrid, for the $9.99. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. No problem at all. Glad you're enjoying the content. Oops. All right, this is interesting. This is a hail video. Thank you, Evan. This is a hail video from Birding Peep of the hail falling in Oregon. It looks like snow. Yeah, that's literally all the hail falling in Oregon. There's a ton of it falling. It's as of 12:15. Thank you, Birding Peep, for that. Yeah, that's a lot of hail. Weather, again, I'm not, that was at 12:14, I believe. Let's go back to 12:14 here, because I want to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at 12:14. This is 12:14. Again, where that is in Oregon, I have no clue. Just keep that in mind. There's a possibility that that hail core was further to the south or further to the north or whatever. Wherever they were, I have no clue where they were in Oregon. I have zero clue where that even is. But they could have been on like the northern side of the hail core. The main hail core that we've had so far was here over the downtown area of Oregon. And now it's kind of moving up here to the north and east. It's going towards Stillman Valley. So just keep that in mind. Again, that area had a lot of hail, at least at the bare minimum. And that much hail can definitely cause some damage. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely not out of the question that wherever that was, I have no clue where that exactly was. It was a railway of some sort. For those that are wondering, by the way, on the low-level jet, the rotation with supercells and stuff like that, with this stuff, we're not really looking at a whole lot of rotation with these supercells right now, and we probably will not be at all this afternoon. These ones are more in an environment of hail and damaging winds. We have much colder temperatures aloft, which will allow for larger hailstones. The other thing to keep in mind is that the low-level jet is much stronger back out here to the west, and that is a horrible circle. But I mean, basically, out here to the west, that is where the low-level jet is increasing in intensity. So we're going to see a much stronger low-level jet out that direction. That is where the tornado risk will really start to increase this afternoon. So yeah, that's what we're looking at back out that direction. Here's the current low-level jet, by the way. It's not as intense as it will be this afternoon, but the low-level jet is becoming a bit stronger. Back out here, it's about 45 to 50 miles per hour. It's actually peaking around 55 miles per hour south of where these severe storms are. But you might notice over here, in the Midwest or anywhere in like Chicago or anywhere like basically in the Chicago suburbs, it's much weaker. It's around 35 miles per hour. The low level winds are also fairly weak right now. So yeah, just keep that all in mind. Again, they are not nearly, it's not nearly as strong as it will be later today. Thank you, Laura, for becoming a Tornado Chaser member. I appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to the members. Enjoy your benefits. Sandwich. Yeah, Sandwich is going to be hit within the next like 10 minutes. Again, this storm is definitely producing hail. That's without really a doubt right now. The correlation coefficient has been picking up on that hail. This is probably still closer to like ping pong ball sized hail. If not, it could be slightly smaller. It also could be slightly larger. I wouldn't even rule that out. But somewhere between $50 to $50 to about golf ball sized in the center of it is definitely possible. The correlation coefficient again is right now picking up on that near Leland. And the storm back up here still has a hail core, without a doubt. Again, the correlation coefficient still picking up on that hail. That is back up here near Davis Junction and Stillwater Valley. Let's go back over to the live radar feed. So again, hail core is now moving through a couple of different areas. One near Davis Junction and another one back down here near Interstate 39 near Rochelle. Hey, Shadow for the $5 super chat. Look at the storm of Leland velocity from the KLOT radar. I'm already on that one. Velocity. I have to go back a minute here. Go to the base velocities instead. Yeah, I can almost assure you that what you're seeing right now in the velocities is going to be a lot of the hail that's been falling, but again, rotation, there's not a lot of rotation with this cell either. The rotation's been very weak on both of these cells for quite a while. The only time we actually had rotation was when the low-level jet was stronger, and that's back over where it was in Davenport this morning. I'm not seeing that threat as concerning right now in this area. I wouldn't rule out a brief tornado, though. It's not out of the question with one of these storms. Just the threat overall with these this afternoon is going to be lower than, you know, storms back out to the west. So, not nearly as concerning. Round 2 will begin, or technically round 2. I called it round 1 last night, but now it's kind of round 2. Round 2 of severe weather will begin sometime between 4 and 7. It'll probably begin in Iowa. That is where it'll begin. Slow the chat. It's already at a 15-second slow mode. I'll slow it down a little bit more. Yeah, there isn't much rotation. I've mentioned that a few times. The rotation's been very, like, weak to this point. It's not been that strong. So, I'm not that concerned right now about the rotation of these supercells. I'm more concerned, again, about the hail threat. The damaging wind potential also exists, but I'm still a lot more concerned, I think, about the hail threat. And 80 miles per hour, I think, is a little bit high on this storm. I wouldn't rule out maybe an isolated spot in this part of the storm, potentially back near the hail core that's around 80 miles per hour, but again, the hail concern is much higher. The temperatures aloft are, again, much cooler, which is creating the potential for much larger hailstones with these cells moving through areas in Illinois. So, what we're looking at right now. Yeah, we usually don't have 3,000 viewers, so sometimes I have to slow the chat a bit more. We only have one moderator, so it makes it a little bit harder. Do you think Kansas City will be hit by the forecasted squall line? Kansas City will probably not be hit that badly. If you are hit, it would probably just be damaging winds, though. But yeah, you probably will be hit to some extent. That'd be overnight tonight. That threat does exist. By the way, the Storm Prediction Center just came out with an update on tomorrow's severe weather threat. No major changes from what I can see. The enhanced risk of severe weather actually is now shrunk a little bit for tomorrow. So I'll put that up on the screen here in a second. But the latest Storm Prediction Center update just came out on tomorrow's severe weather threat, which is an enhanced risk. Let's go over to day 2. So this is the current risk of severe weather for tomorrow. The enhanced risk has backed up a bit. It no longer includes, basically, like, it got cut off a bit over here. I'll try to outline it as best as I can here. So it's basically now cut off here. It's slightly a bit further back out to the west now. That's kind of what it looks like. So this area basically is no longer included in that enhanced risk for severe weather tomorrow. So the threat has gone down a little bit. In fact, I think this entire area has, like, shifted the slightest bit further back to the west. So once that's available, I'll show you on the big map here, but just a little update there for you if anybody's in those areas, which I'm guessing a good amount of you are. Chicago is still in the enhanced risk for tomorrow. Damaging winds being the main concern, tornado risk also not out of the question. That you designed for the $4.99. I appreciate it. Thank you. By the way, we do have a new hailstorm developing behind this one. That is going to be back near Pawpaw and Mendota. That is the Interstate 39 area. We do now have a hail core that is potentially developing here near Interstate 39. That is north of 34. We are looking at the threat for some significant hail if this is able to start strengthening more. But probably quarter, $half sized hail is ongoing with this storm moving off to the east-northeast. So that storm's forming behind the other one that has been severe for quite a while. This is the one that produced a lot of damaging winds. This storm is actually now weakening out, which is good. This one produced 90 mile per hour damaging winds and upwards of baseball-sized hail back near Davenport earlier this morning. So if you're back over in Davenport, you might remember, yes, this storm literally hit you probably 2 hours ago now, 3 hours ago. But yeah, this was the storm that was impacting those areas. It is now weakening out, but it does seem like we're trying to see a new redevelopment behind it of a new supercell thunderstorm here near Interstate 39. That is also going to have the threat for some large hail and damaging winds. And again, back up here to the north, we now have a downgrade on this warning. It's down to ping pong ball sized hail. Still a very large area of hail, though, without a doubt here near Davis Junction, back through Rochelle. This area is looking at a damaging wind potential of 70 miles per hour, and as well as the threat for some hail up to ping pong ball sized hail. How's it going, Pettis? There you are, designed for the $4.99. Threats for Delavin, Wisconsin. Delavon, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to say that. The main threat there will probably be the hail threat, but you might see isolated damaging winds. I would not rule out an isolated tornado, but that risk should stay to your south. That's back up in here for those that are wondering. It's like here somewhere. But yeah, the hail threat is going to be probably a bit more of a concern. The warm front is not going to go that far up to the north. It's not going to go like that far north tonight. It's not going to probably go far enough to the north for there to be like a significant tornado threat or a really significant hail threat or significant damaging winds. The threat should be overall a bit lower just due to the fact the warmer air and the more humid air is not going to go that far up to the north. So keep that in mind. Still have all modes. Again, make sure I have all ways to receive alerts, have multiple ways to receive alerts, and I have a tornado action plan in place tonight. Thank you, Shadow, for the $5 super chat. Since I live in central Missouri, I plan on chasing the late night storms. Nice. I don't need any updates. Honestly, again, I'm probably not going to be able to go live tonight. I've mentioned this several times. I already have something planned at 3. So, again, this live stream has to literally end, like, at 3 at the latest. But it has to end actually earlier than that. 2:30, I think, is when it has to end. So, again, I'll be live for as long as possible, but I'm not going to be live probably tonight. I might get back late and be able to go live at like 1 a.m., but I highly doubt I'll be going live at 1 a.m. I do appreciate the offer, though. I really do. Again, I have had some of the worst luck with planning things in advance and eventually having severe weather events happening on them. I've had really bad luck recently. Friday was an example of that. And today's another great example of that. And tomorrow, actually, is another example. I am going another place tomorrow. It's phenomenal. And then on Thursday. But I'll be back to normal stuff on Friday. My schedule is absolutely whack. By the way, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. And like the stream if you've been enjoying it so far, if you found it useful, that sort of thing. We're only 29 likes right now from 1,000. Make sure to like the stream. We're only actually currently 50 subscribers from 43,700. Thank you, BT, for becoming a Storm Chaser member. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has now been issued for Genoa, as well as Kirkland, Hampshire, Union, Virgil, and that's the main area included in this brand new severe thunderstorm warning. We're watching 2 different areas of storms, one of which is up here. That could be producing $quarter to $half sized hail. Bigger concern, though, is back out here to the west, where we do have a very small segment of storms that is formed from Interstate 88 back through Interstate 90. This is where we're seeing the potential for hail up to the size of ping pong balls and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, or 70 miles per hour, excuse me. And that's moving off to the east-northeast. This will eventually be tracking towards the Great Lakes. Let me go and put a track on this storm so you guys have an idea of where this is actually heading. Let's go ahead and do this. I can? Oh, I guess it glitched out. Never mind. Yeah, all right. I can't put a time guide on it. I'll have to restart this. But yeah, and that's moving off to the east-northeast, going towards Interstate 90 over the next several minutes. And we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Pawpaw, and as well as going through Hinckley, Waterman. That's for 60 mile per hour damaging winds and ping pong ball sized hail. Latest radar scan does show a slight bit of weakening on that storm. This storm still remains intact for now. That's near Sandwich, producing the threat for upwards of ping pong ball sized hail. We still have not yet had any reports out of Oregon of hailstone sizes yet. I'm going to see if we have any new ones. Leland, this is breaking. Leland has a confirmation of baseball sized hail moments ago. This storm has been warned this entire time for ping pong ball sized hail, but Leland just had a report 3 miles to the northeast of Leland, so that's up here probably where the report came in, of tennis ball. I think I said baseball. I meant to say tennis ball sized hail if I said baseball. So again, tennis ball sized hail was just reported here near Leland. So again, if you're anywhere near Leland, make sure you're staying away from windows We also have more reports out of Leland of golf ball sized hail, hen egg sized hail. Multiple different reports right now of hail. That's the most recent report, so out of the storm in Leland. Again, tennis ball sized hail was just reported there. But Leland is done with that storm now, by the way. So that just passed through Leland. But those were just reported a few minutes ago. Pawpaw and sandwich. I've never heard of a town being called Pawpaw before. Interesting name. Alright. Do I ever do storm chasing? I have storm chased before. I actually chased Hurricane Nicole when it made landfall. It was back multiple months ago now. I actually have videos of that on my channel if you want to check them out. They're YouTube shorts. Thanks, Bugsy. You're doing well. Pawpaw is hardly a town. It has a lot of random farms. Okay. Well, I guess it's a farm area. Which actually, that's not really good. I mean, we're talking about hail right now over a area where there's a bunch of farmland. Definitely not something that you want to be seeing this morning. And I'm guessing right now the hail threat is probably going to be a bit lower with this storm near Pawpaw. It's probably still quarter, $half size at the bare minimum, but you know, it's going to be probably on a bit more of the smaller scale of things. If we go to the correlation coefficient again, we're seeing a lot of hail with this storm near Sandwich, especially. Sandwich and Leland, again, we just had reports of up to tennis ball sized hail with this particular storm. So we've been seeing some concern with this storm in terms of hail. The one back up further to the north and west is also very concerning. But if we go back to this storm over here, the hail core is much, much smaller on the correlation coefficient. We're probably looking at a bit more of the smaller variety of hail right now with that storm. And the one back up here near going towards Kirkland and Hampshire, going towards Interstate 90, is likely producing that threat for some significant hail and damaging winds as well. So those are our two threats right now, moving off to the east. Thank you, Robert, for the $5 donation. Let me find where this is. I'm happy I found you. I'm glad you found me. Appreciate you tuning in. Stay safe wherever you may be. Thank you, Shadow, for the $5 super chat. Do you think the squall line will be more joined together or discrete supercells? You mean tonight? If there is to be a squall line, it would be more of a linear line of storms, which a squall line is literally a linear line of storms. But that would probably be more of a line of storms back that direction. How's it going, Somni? I want to live in Sandwich. Live in a sandwich. You could literally say, I live in a sandwich. I don't know why. I think that's funny. All right, let's go back up here to the north. This storm, again, closer to Creston, east of Interstate 39, is still producing some fairly large hail. I'm not seeing as much rotation on this cell right now. Again, it's more of a hail concern, and damaging winds is not out of the question as well. We're still watching for the damaging wind potential up to 70 miles per hour. This is your hail core here, and it's going to be approaching Kirkland, Genoa, as well as Hampshire and Burlington over the next several minutes, and eventually going towards Sycamore, if I'm saying the name right, going towards that direction. There is also the potential for a little bit of hail with that little cell that just developed near Maple Park. It's near Interstate 88. That's moving off to the north and east, so make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. We do have new damage reports coming out of Dixon from the storms that just rolled by. Let's go through some of these reports, all right? We have multiple of them. So, semi-truck was tipped over on US 30 near Hermon, excuse me. Time was estimated by radar, so right around 12 o'clock. In Nelson, there was a semi-truck tipped over at Interstate 88 near Atkinson Road. Possible injuries. That is in Nelson. So we just had a report there of a semi-truck tipped over on Interstate 88, and there's potentially injuries on that area. In pretty much closer to Dixon, this is again Lee County, Illinois, another semi-truck was tipped over on IL-38 east of Dixon. That was around 12:10. 12:15, another semi-truck was tipped over on Robbins Road. Time, again, estimated by radar. We now have had 4 different reports of 4 different semi-trucks blown over in the Dixon area. And if you are a truck driver on Interstate 90, I recommend you pull over as the storm does pass. Anywhere near Interstate 88, not a bad idea to do so, or at least watch these storms closely as you get closer. Damaging wind potential between 60 to 70 miles per hour does exist. So we do have 4 reports now of semi-trucks that have been tipped over, blown over, that sort of thing back over here. Tennis ball-sized hail was reported 25 minutes ago in Irville. Again, this storm has been literally warned this entire time for ping pong ball-sized, but it has definitely been larger than that a lot of the time. So definitely very concerning, even though the storm is only warned for ping pong ball. It has been fairly large to this point. All right. How's it going, Beast? How's it going, Jack? Welcome back. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to go back over real quick. Let's go to the... We have a quick second. I'm going to do this. We're going to go back to here. We're going to go to this as well. I'm just going to check out the latest future radar. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference at this point, but the HRR model run just came out. This is the most recent model run for Iowa going through this afternoon. Storms firing up around 5, 6 o'clock. Again, this is the more significant area will be tonight across Iowa. This is where we could see some discrete supercells, large to very large hail. Tornadoes are going to be very well an increased threat across this area, and as well as the damaging wind potential. Let's go ahead and go to the regional view. I do want to look at the helicity a little bit. I want to kind of look at the storm. I want to look at the significant tornado parameter a little bit, but we're actually going to do this real quick. Yeah, I mean, this is what the latest model run is on the HR model. We're still looking at the threat for probably at least 1, 2, maybe 3 tornadoes across this region that are strong. Again, that would be anywhere from western Illinois back through Iowa and maybe southwest Wisconsin. So definitely a concerning area here. This would be rotation tracks, by the way, which is what I'm looking at. So just doing a little bit of in-depth looks at different things here. Significant tornado parameter, pretty much where it's pretty much expected to be where it's supposed to be. So no difference there. By the way, the significant tornado parameter is non-existent right now in northern Illinois with the storms that we're seeing. So tornado threat, again, I'm not really expecting any tornadoes in the next couple of hours. All right, let's go back over to the live radar. Just wanted to make sure I have not missed any new updates there. All that red coming at me does not look fun. I cannot disagree. Not looking forward to Michigan's forecast for tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a pretty long day, too. I mean, I know we have a severe weather outbreak ahead today, but tomorrow's not going to be any better. I mean, we're still watching. This is, let me pull it up here. This is today's outlook right here. So again, we're looking at a very significant severe weather outbreak that's going to span from the Midwest back through the southern plains. But tomorrow is not more concerning, but it is still very concerning. We're watching for the threat of more severe weather. We could see the threat for even a few strong tornadoes in this region here. That would include areas in Ohio, back through Indiana and Michigan, as well as the very large hail potential does exist and the damaging wind threat. The latest from the Storm Prediction Center, they have not changed the tornado risk for tomorrow at all. The hail threat remains fairly much the same, and the damaging wind potential has actually increased now. The damaging wind threat, the 30% probability within a 25-mile radius, now includes areas into the Midwest. It was originally primarily back down here in the Ohio Valley. So that's now the new region there for some significant, or at least some damaging winds. There's no hatched area for damaging winds. There is a hatched area for large hail tomorrow, and there's also a hatched area for tornadoes that could be strong. This basically indicates the potential for a strong tornado threat. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning to get to, and this is definitely getting very concerning. They are approaching the suburbs of Chicago. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and golf ball-sized hail are our main concerns over areas west of Chicago. So if you're in this region, make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. There are multiple storms here that are producing some large to very large hail and damaging winds moving off to the east. And golf ball-sized hail potential exists for Aurora, Lily Lake, Elburn, DeKalb, and Interstate 88. If you're along there and you're a truck driver, again, reminder, you should probably pull over as these storms do roll by. And main hail threat right now is going to be back up in here. That's where our hailstorm is. That's like the main core of hail. But we do have pretty much we've had a lot of reports with this cell specifically of upwards of baseball-sized hail near Sandwich. This specific cell has been performing well over what it really should be in terms of the hail potential. And this is the current, let's go over to here, the correlation coefficient. Yeah, there's still a lot of hail falling over Sandwich. I know we have a few viewers from Sandwich. If you're in Sandwich, let me know if you're seeing anything out there. Again, stay away from windows, but If you have any reports across this entire region, feel free to leave those in the chat, because this is definitely a pretty concerning storm right now. Chicago, again, is currently forecasted to be hit by these storms, probably closer to now 1:30 to 2 o'clock, somewhere in that range. If you are able, or if you are to see any severe weather, that's like your best chance right now. Again, severe thunderstorm watch does go until 3 o'clock this afternoon. For those in the areas like, really, the Chicago suburbs, and as well as northwest Indiana, there is a county included there. But the main threat is probably going to stay just to the north of Interstate 55. We have another damage report. We've had several semi-trucks flipped over near Dixon and Nelson. A new report of a video shared by public shows structural damage near the 2nd and College in Dixon. So there's structural damage, excuse me, in Dixon, Illinois. I'm going to see if we can find that at all. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. $50 sized hail was just reported in Davis Junction. That's further up to the north. That's our most northerly cell right now. We don't have any photos of the Dixon damage right now. Never mind. I hoping we would have something there, but no, we do not. There's some structural damage that was reported in Dixon. All right, update here. We have a larger hail core developing back over here near Lee. That's an increasing hail core. That's near Pawpaw. Highway 30. That is where our hail core is starting to intensify more, near Waterman and Lee. This is again where we pretend this storm right here could be potentially producing larger hail than ping pong balls. Let's go to the correlation coefficient. Right now it's probably around ping pong ball sized hail, but it might intensify a bit more. Correlation coefficient picking up on some hail there. If we go back over to this storm near Sandwich, the one near Sandwich and Plano has been much, much worse in terms of the hail threat. And this storm is becoming very intense as well. This one's going to be moving towards Sugar Grove over the next several minutes as well. Make sure that you are staying away from windows. Lowest floor possible. There's some ice in my sandwich. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go over to here. This is the latest radar scan as of 12:51. We'll have another one coming here in a second. This is the latest radar scan on this cell. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any rotation at this current time, but this cell is definitely producing large hail. Hail threat is definitely going to be right about from Sandwich back through Hinckley. Cannot say that. Hinckley. That's near Highway 30. That's where that hail core right now is extending. So that's where our main hail core is for the potential for upwards of golf ball sized hail, maybe even a bit larger than that. This storm has a history of producing upwards of baseball sized hail, has produced damaging winds up to 90 miles per hour as well, way back when it was at Davenport. So definitely something to be a little bit concerned about there as well. Again, still watching significant hail right now across the Midwest. These storms are all moving off to the north and east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Chicago will probably be in the line for these storms within the next 60 to 75 minutes. Our main areas of hail right now are going to be back near Sandwich and Hinckley, as well as another one back over here just to the west and southwest of Interstate 90. That warning has now been condensed a little bit, by the way, a little bit further up there to the north. All right, no other updates on Twitter. Why no tornado watches? Well, we don't have any tornado risk right now. Tornado risk is like very low right now here in the Midwest with this specific area of storms. The risk for severe weather will increase in terms of the tornado risk later today. That would be across areas in Iowa, Western Illinois, Northern Missouri. That is where significant severe weather will fire up later today. This is all a prerequisite to what we'll see later today, pretty much. This is basically like, you know, breaking the glass in a sense in terms of the severe weather today. We're going to be looking at large hail damaging winds with this area of storms. Later today is when things really start to ramp up and become very severe. We'll be watching for the threat of strong tornadoes, damaging winds, and very large hail across Iowa, back through Western Illinois later today. That is when things become much worse, in my opinion. Again, that's if the cap breaks. The cap is going to be playing a very big factor into severe weather today. If the cap does break, we're looking at very significant severe weather. If the cap does not break, then we'll be looking at a threat for very limited severe weather. And that's our hope, obviously, is that there will be a strong cap in place The thing is, most recently, most computer models think that the cap will be gone by about 5 o'clock or so, which would basically, for those that are wondering, what am I talking about? The cap? Are you talking about like a baseball cap? I am not talking about a baseball cap. A cap is essentially a temperature inversion in the atmosphere. So as you know, as we increase in altitude, the temperature decreases. But sometimes at some point in the atmosphere, we see a little spot, let's just say like 7,000 to 8,000 feet. Sometimes there is a point where the temperature actually increases again for a short period of time, and then it goes back to decreasing. That is a temperature inversion. So the temperature inversion essentially will prevent clouds from bubbling up to a certain height. And in that sort of sense, we basically see supercells that cannot develop. But if that cap is overcome by warmer temperatures at the surface or colder temperatures aloft, then that is when we can see supercells get past the cap and essentially supercells develop. And that's what we do not want today, but that's probably what will happen today back over in Iowa and Western Illinois. So that's what the cap is. Cap plays a huge part in severe weather for the southern plains especially. Back up here in the Midwest, it's not usually as much of a factor. It does happen occasionally. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. It's free to do, and we do live streams like this all the time. Also, make sure to like the stream, helps get this out to more people. We're only 200 subscribers from 44,000, so make sure to subscribe down below. And for those that are wondering, will this go to a high risk today? Unless confidence really grows about that tornado outbreak potential in Iowa, I don't think so, but, you know, we'll see. I said that last time, too. I mean, like, Friday, I didn't think we'd go to a high risk of severe weather, but then when the morning hit, we had a moderate risk that was huge, and I was like, all right, they're probably definitely considering now a high risk because of just all the parameters. And really, when it comes to like a moderate versus high risk, a lot of what has to happen here is the confidence. And if the Storm Prediction Center isn't confident enough in severe weather being that significant, which again, there is still some uncertainty regarding the threat for that cap. Will the cap still be in place? If it's not in place, then we'll be watching for, you know, the potential very significant tornado outbreak. But if there is a strong cap in place, then we're going to be talking about a much more limited environment. We're still probably going to have a very potent environment. We're going to see significant supercells, but there's always that chance that things don't happen in that sort of regard. So if there's not entirely 100% certainty on that, there probably wouldn't be a high risk. But if there's a lot of certainty, like 95% or greater certainty on that being the potential, then the potential for a high risk definitely would exist. All right, I'm just going to refresh the radar here. Actually, I'm going to real quickly restart my software. It's glitching out a bunch now. Restart it, and I'm going to put a track on these storms too, just so you guys get an idea of where these storms are heading. Go ahead and do this. No tornado warning. Just glitched like that. All right. Let's go ahead and put a timing guide on these storms and give you an idea of when these will be arriving to certain areas like Chicago. I was trying to do this earlier, but again, it glitched out. All right, let's go ahead and put this on. Let's do the timing guide. Again, give or take a little bit of time on this. Timing will likely be a little bit different from this. Like, again, this is just an estimate on timing. So the timing is on the left side of your screen. Again, give or take about 10-15 minutes on all these time frames. Aurora, about 109. Elgin, 122. Naperville, 126. Eventually, Arlington Heights by 154. Oak Lawn, it'll be right in your lawn at 203. Oak Park, 203, eventually going towards Chicago right around 215. So that's like the ETA right now. I wouldn't rule out that this gets there slightly quicker than that, but again, give or take 10-15 minutes on these time frames. And Evanston right around 217. So again, that is your timing right now on this very severe cluster of storms. It's been severe for quite a while, producing very large hail potential and damaging winds for quite a while. Thank you, McKnight, for the $4.99. I'm on Interstate 80 tollway heading towards that. Hey, good luck. Stay safe. Stay safe on Interstate 80. Yeah, Chicago's in the track of this. And again, Naperville's in the track. Anywhere basically in this area is in the track of this. Oak Lawn is probably going to be a bit more on the cusp of it. I made this area intentionally larger than what it actually is, just to make sure, like, you know, storms sometimes develop a bit further to the south, sometimes a bit further to the north. So that's kind of accounting for that potential little gradient there in terms of where these storms will actually be. So hail threat is definitely increasing, by the way, near Aurora. We'll go ahead and zoom in on that here in a second. If you need a screenshot this, feel free to. I'll leave it up on the screen here for like 20 more seconds, and then we'll dive back into the hail core back near Aurora, because that thing's getting much larger now. Back near Aurora. Aurora. Oh, not hard to say. New mesoscale discussion, by the way, from the Storm Prediction Center. Strong to severe storms will continue producing hail and locally strong wind gusts for another 1 to 2 hours. That is across this area in the Midwest. So this is the most recent mesoscale discussion, is this. If it pops up, which I don't think it will. But it's primarily just going to be in this area here. That's where that localized hail and damaging wind potential still exists for the next few hours. Back down near Aurora, this is where a hail core is increasing again. We're watching for the threat of some large hail. This is pretty close to the radar site too. Correlation coefficient is picking up on a pretty large hail core here. We could be talking about upwards of maybe even upwards of hen egg sized hail, maybe even closer to tennis ball sized hail ongoing. That's south of Interstate 88, approaching Aurora and Montgomery. If you're in these areas, make sure you're staying away from windows. Naperville is in the track of that hail core, by the way. So again, if you're in Naperville, which I know we have a few viewers from Naperville, that is in the track of that large hail core right now. Quarter-sized hail was reported in Sandwich a little while ago. That was relayed via a M-ping. That's somebody in the area that saw some quarter-sized hail, but again, that is not an official report. Obviously, we don't really have any photos of that or anything like that. Hunker down here in Aurora. Stay safe. Yeah, again, if you're in Aurora right now, make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. What you should be doing right now if you are in Aurora. A brand new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for a very large chunk of northeast Illinois. This is going to be for Fox Lake. This is Arlington Heights, Elgin, Crystal Lake, all included in a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and the threat for ping pong ball sized hail. This is moving quickly off to the north and east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. By the way, the amount of lightning with these storms all combined right now in this part of Illinois, it's about 55 strikes per minute. So these storms are producing a lot of lightning, especially this storm, this massive supercell that's been long tracked now, is definitely been the worst supercell by far. But this cell down here near Aurora has the most lightning right now, about 40 to 45 strikes per minute. So this cell is producing a ton of lightning. Again, brand new severe thunderstorm warning for those over in Vernon Hills, Fox Lake, Elgin, back through Evanston, north of Chicago. Again, we'll be live for this entire thing. We'll be getting very close up in case anything is approaching your location. Hail core is just to the west of Elgin. This is where our hail core is. That is where we could be watching for the potential for upwards of ping pong ball sized hail. The one back out here to the west of that area, west of Burlington, is also producing probably some large hail. This one is definitely pretty concerning, though. You can see the correlation coefficient picking up on the hail. That means there's probably a lot of hail falling right now just to the southwest of Gilbert. So we will probably be talking about upwards of ping pong ball to golf ball sized hail there right now. More concerning hail core is southwest of Aurora, but we'll see what happens on this next radar scan. We'll see if it stays the same or not. Friendly reminder, if you've not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do live streams like this all the time. And I like the stream so this can help get out to more people. All right, new radar scan from Montgomery. This hail core is still remaining very, very strong. Again, correlation coefficient is picking up on this, which usually when we use the correlation coefficient, it's for tornadoes. However, this is actually for hail. The correlation coefficient is picking up on a ton of hail falling right now near Montgomery, and just barely right now to the southwest of Aurora. It is quickly approaching that area. Again, this could be very well hail upwards of hen egg sized hail, maybe even slightly larger than that. This storm has had a history of producing damaging winds as high as 90 miles per hour back over in Davenport, Iowa, and it also has produced recently as high as tennis ball sized hail just off to the west. So there has been some significant hail with this recently. Back up here to the north, we're still watching the threat for a hail core. Hail core is located near Pingree Grove and near Gilbert's. This little pink and a little bit of black there, that's representing your hail core moving towards Interstate 90. So again, make sure that you're staying away from windows. I would anticipate a new severe thunderstorm warning being issued for Chicago in the next like 2 minutes. So stay tuned for that. There has been confirmation, by the way, of 5 semi-trucks flipped over so far. Just kind of putting that in perspective, there has been a ton of them. that have been flipped over recently. Yeah, severe thunderstorm warning likely to be issued for Chicago in the upcoming few minutes. If my stream is blurry, you might have to go ahead and refresh or click the gear button to increase the quality. That would not be me. That would simply just be possibly your internet or something like that, because it is not blurry at all on my end. So I just have to refresh. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, you can become a member on our YouTube channel for as little as $2.99 a month. It's the top link in the description. Yeah, a lot of benefits, including bloopers. We do have a report coming out of Watermelon, Illinois. This is golf ball sized hail was just reported. Moderate tree damage and 2-inch hail was also mixed in. So Watermelon, Illinois just reported some hen egg sized hail. That was the maximum hailstone size, but for the most part, it was around golf ball sized hail. And that's going to be back north of Sandwich. That's going to be out of this storm here. So this cluster of storms, it's probably that storm there that's actually producing that threat for upwards of hen egg sized hail. I can only imagine that this storm here is probably closer to hen egg sized hail. If not, maybe a couple of hailstones near tennis ball sized hail is not out of the question. So again, that's the latest report. This area of storms has now a new report as of a couple of minutes ago of hail between ping pong ball to golf ball sized hail. But there have been a couple of 2-inch diameter hailstones mixing in. That's the latest report there out of this cluster of storms. And this is moving currently off to the east. Stay safe, McKnight. Sorry, I missed your super chat. 14 miles away from the storm, moving at 72 miles per hour. Stay safe with these storms. Especially this one. This storm has been crazy. Next radar scan, by the way, will be coming in here in just a moment. We'll see where that hail core is in a moment. Golf ball sized hail was just confirmed in Yorkville. That's Kendall County, Illinois. That is with this cell here approaching Aurora. If not, it's probably already over Aurora, near Interstate 88. So again, golf ball sized hail was just confirmed near Yorkville. That was as of 1 o'clock, so 7 minutes ago. That was confirmed. Again, for those that are just tuning in, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning was issued for Elgin, Palatine, Evanston, Crystal Lake, Fox Lake, all included. There is also a warning into just east of Janesville in Wisconsin. This is going to be for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Not overly concerned about that right now, but marginal threat of severe weather basically possible there. Here's the latest radar scan, by the way, on this storm. This is the live look at the hail core. It is now over Aurora. Where you see those pinks would represent your hail that is currently falling right now. Back over near Interstate 88, Sugar Grove. Approaching Naperville. Naperville will be hit by the storm within the next 10 minutes. So if you're in Naperville, just get your car into your garage now if you have not already, and also make sure that you are staying away from windows as the storm approaches. With winds upwards of 70 miles per hour, we very well could be watching for the potential for some blowing hail. That basically means that hail might be going sidewards into even buildings. So you want to make sure that you are staying away from windows. Now, we've not really had any reports yet of a whole lot of blowing hail, which is good news, but it is a possibility, so you just want to make sure that you are staying away from windows. All right, brand new severe thunderstorm warning has now been issued for Chicago. This is now a new severe thunderstorm warning for Chicago. It includes Wheaton, Woodridge, Oaklawn, Romeoville, Norridge. This is all included for the threat of damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and as well as golf ball sized hail. And this is an observed threat, by the way. We have now had confirmation of golf ball sized hail with this storm. This is moving off to the east-northeast towards Bolingbrook, McCook, as well as Maywood. Again, Chicago's estimated time of arrival is probably going to be closer to about 2 to 2:15. Maybe even earlier than that, depending on if these storms speed up a little bit, which they have been a bit faster. We've had dozens of hail reports, by the way, around Aurora. There's hail falling literally everywhere right now around Aurora. So even closer to areas like St. Charles, they're starting to see hail. So again, make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Away from windows. Cannot stress that enough. So again, that is our most recent warning that has been updated, or upgraded, posted, whatever. That's again for Chicago, Maywood. A bunch of the suburbs there of Chicago included in that brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, we'll keep you safe with these storms. We'll keep you posted with any new updates here over the next hour as these storms do continue to march out to the east. We do have a person that just reported out of Plano, Illinois, of a ton of different hailstone sizes. Let's go and show you this. This is a viewer that we just had sending us some a couple photos of some hail. This was about P to $half sized hail. I can assure you that this is probably larger than $half size, but besides the point, pretty large hail here. This just came out of Plano in Illinois. That was a report from Jason Grant. Thank you for sending that in. If you have any other photos, by the way, if anybody has any photos, feel free to send them in to me, either by Twitter, by email. Those are all linked in the description below. My Twitter handle is @MaxVelocityWX. Tennis ball sized hail is being reported, by the way, in Aurora right now. That is according to a viewer in chat. Again, not confirmed right now, but obviously it is not out of the question that hail is larger than golf ball size. I've mentioned this a lot. This storm has been warned for like ping pong ball to golf ball sized hail for a long time now. And there's been several instances where it's produced up to tennis ball sized hail. So it's not out of the question that this storm is producing much larger hailstones than what it actually says. So just keep that in mind. The storm is definitely producing very large hail as it moves off to the east. I will be making a hail meter, don't worry. Yeah, for those that are wondering, the today's trampoline meter is currently at an extreme risk, so make sure you hatch down your trampolines. We are at an extreme risk of flying trampolines. It will not be upgraded to Gone Forever. This is for the entire Midwest and as well as the lower Mississippi Valley back through the Ozarks. This is where we could see some flying trampolines if they're not hatched down from some damaging wind gusts and the potential for tornadoes. Obviously, all these trampolines, by the way, were from just damaging winds. These were not from tornadoes, so just keep that in mind. That was all, for the most part, all of those were from the DFW damaging wind event a few weeks ago. Yes, we have a trampoline meter, I know. It's incredible. We also have like a trash can meter. We have all sorts of meters. Love the trampoline meter. Thank you. Yeah, Chicago's right in the direct track of this hailstorm. Again, whether it survives all the way through Chicago, it's still a little bit of a question mark, but you should be prepared regardless of this storm as it continues to approach Chicago. Again, this storm's producing hail upwards of tennis ball size and as well as damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Again, the temperatures are not even that warm over here. Just aloft, since the temperatures are so much cooler aloft, we have that potential for large hail. You can see here the temperatures across this region are like in the 50s. It's 52 degrees over in Chicago. So, I mean, we're seeing significant severe weather even with these temperatures being so much cooler at the surface. The temperatures are much warmer down here to the south. Over in Iowa, by the way, temperature is 36 in northwestern Iowa, where there's a possible some snow going on in a blizzard. It's almost in the 80s now in southern Iowa. So there's a huge temperature contrast right now. And that warm front, as it continues to lift to the north this afternoon, that is when that severe weather threat will really start to ramp up later. So that's what we're watching right now. But the temperatures are quite cool for severe weather like this to be occurring, especially with the hailstone sizes that we've been seeing. We've seen upwards of tennis ball sized hail. You see the trash can meter? I guess I'll show it. It's not really like, it's not a picture one. I'm working on a picture one actually like right now. Not like right now, but I'm working on a actual like picture one. But this is our trash can meter. So we're at a take a walk to find out. Some of you, depending on where you are, you're at the Gone Forever stage as well. So that's our trash can meter. Trash can meter is usually on another level with these sort of events. For those wondering, the next Storm Prediction Center update is going to be in about, how many minutes? 100 and something minutes? Just within the next 2 hours. By the way, the severe thunderstorm warning for, let's see. It's going to be this one here. This just got downgraded to quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Again, the bigger concern right now is this hailstorm going through Aurora. We just had a few reports of tennis ball-sized hail. Not confirmed, but we've had a couple of people mention that there's been some hail around that. We actually do have photos coming in out of Aurora now. This is a viewer that just sent in this photo out of Aurora. So you can see maybe some tennis ball-sized hail possibly here. That's at least hen egg at the bare minimum. I know it's a little bit early for Easter to be seeing Easter eggs out there for hailstone sizes. This was sent in by Dave. Thank you for sending that in. So, yeah, a little bit of hail there. That was potentially hail somewhere in the range of hen egg, maybe a little bit larger than that. That's near Naperville. one heck of an Easter egg event. Yeah, it's literally an Easter egg hunt out there right now. All the hail that we're seeing. Yeah, after these storms pass and you go outside, you might be able to find some Easter eggs. Tell the kids, hey, there's some Easter eggs. I'm kidding. They're not Easter eggs, they're definitely hail. Again, for the storm near Aurora, we're getting a lot of reports. Golf ball sized hail has been reported a ton so far. We've had upwards of tennis ball sized hail, though, mixing in with this. So make sure that you are staying away from windows on the lowest floor possible. Again, we might see even a little bit of this drifting hail. Not sure if any of you, if you've actually seen it yet, if you've been in the track of these storms, but the threat of hail going sidewards with the winds that we're seeing, upwards of 70 miles per hour, is possible, especially with this hail core here near Aurora. So again, make sure that you are staying away from windows. This is going towards Chicago right now, so if you are in Chicago, make sure that you are staying very well aware of the storm as it approaches. It'll be there probably within the next hour or so. All right, here's the latest radar scan. Again, we are still looking at a very large area here of potential hail. Let's go to the correlation coefficient to see how much hail could be potentially falling here. And yeah, there's still a lot of hail falling. This is all the hail that we're seeing here. That's the overlap. That's the correlation coefficient picking up on that. Let me use a different color. So this is our hail that we're seeing here. That is near Aurora. That's all kind of being picked up here by the correlation coefficient, which what the correlation coefficient usually does is pick up debris being wafted up into the atmosphere from a tornado. But in this case, it's literally just hail falling. That's a lot of hail falling for the correlation coefficient to pick that up. So there's a ton of hail falling. We've had a lot of viewers verify that already near Aurora and Interstate 88. So if you're near Naperville, that hail core is quickly approaching. We've had some hailstones upwards of tennis ball size mixing in. But obviously the threat for sometimes even larger hailstone sizes is not out of the question with this storm. We have a couple of new reports coming in near Aurora that have been confirmed. In Montgomery, we had hail up to the golf ball size for the past 5 minutes. And we also have a hail report at Aurora University of golf ball sized hail. That's Kane County, Illinois. So again, 2 new reports of golf ball sized hail have just come out near Aurora. That is again all just to the west of Chicago. We also still have a hail core ongoing back near Elgin, so make sure that you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible. As that hailstorm does roll through, that is going to be probably just staying off to the north of Elgin, but you might still see some hail from the storms behind it. So keep that in mind as well. We'll stay in this view here for a second, since there are still plenty of areas in these warnings. I'm right by Route 59 and just got some hail. Thank you, Shelby, for the report. Appreciate it. If you have any other photos, by the way, feel free to send them in to me on Twitter. We have a video of the hail as well. This was sent in by Dave again on Twitter. This is the hail that was falling over there in Aurora. You can see there, all the hail falling. That is a ton of hail, by the way. That's what the correlation coefficient is picking up on. All that hail that's falling. See it all splashing in the water. Looks like there's a duck in the water there. Poor duck. That is a ton of hail, though. And that's kind of the beginning of it. See all the hail, though, falling. It's hard to pick out an actual hailstone size since there's just so much hail falling there. But again, very significant hail without a doubt. Thank you, Dave, again, for sending that in. Yeah, if you have any photos, videos, anything like that, you can feel free to send them in on Twitter. All right, let's go ahead and zoom back in on this storm. We're going to get our next radar scan in probably about a minute, so we'll keep a close eye on that. You're so done with winter, I can't wait for spring. Well, good news for you. Winter ended like a week and a half ago, technically. For those in the northern plains, you have an extended winter. Back up there. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. We're only 22 subscribers from 44,000. So make sure to hit that red button down below and subscribe. And also make sure to like the stream if you've been enjoying the stream so far. It helps get this out to more people as well. Update on the severe thunderstorm warning back near Rockford. This warning has been upgraded to ping pong ball sized hail. That is near Poplar Grove, Rockford. This is now up to ping pong ball sized hail, just an FYI. So we're going to primarily focus on the storms approaching the Great Lakes, but just an update there. There's up to ping pong ball sized hail now. All right, we have a new report of baseball sized hail with this storm near Aurora. There was a recent report that just came out. Somebody mentioned that there's been a few baseball sized hailstorms. So just keep that, or not storms, a few baseball sized hailstones that have fallen near Aurora over the last few minutes. So this storm is very significant still. It is producing hail upwards of baseball size. The hail core right now is located just off here to the west of Downers Grove. That is where our hail core is, right here near Napersville. That is where we're seeing the potential, for the most part, around ping pong to golf ball sized hail. But a few hailstones could mix in upwards of baseball size. And you might be wondering, why is the hail threat so high here this morning? It's mainly due to the fact temperatures near the surface are only in the low to mid 50s. It's not even that warm. And once you go aloft, the temperatures are much cooler in the atmosphere. That's allowing for hailstones to stay much larger once they reach the surface. The temperatures have a huge part into the hailstone size right now, because the hailstone sizes aren't melting a whole lot in these updrafts once they actually reach the surface. The melting is not really going to be that much, just due to the fact that temperatures are so much cooler at the surface. And I mean, the freezing point, I'm guessing here near Chicago, is probably only a few thousand feet up into the atmosphere. So thank you, Master, for the 199. Driving on 88 west towards Aurora, golf ball sized hail. Thank you for the report. Stay safe on 88. Appreciate the report. If you have any other reports, by the way, if anybody has any reports, you can feel free to leave those in the chat. Tweet me on Twitter, that sort of thing. Chicago won't be on a flood warning. This area of storms isn't going to last that long, to the point where there'll actually be any flooding. Look at this hail track, by the way, over the last 2 hours. It has been a long hail track. And this is just over the last 2 hours. If we go back to like 12 o'clock, or not even 12 o'clock, if we go back to like 10 a.m., this hail track goes all the way through Davenport. This is the track of this storm. It was going like east, and now since the wind direction's changing a bit higher up into the atmosphere, we're actually seeing the storm motion going a bit more to the northeast, interestingly enough. So, and that's what's going to happen today. Again, we have the parameters, like all the lower level winds, as well as going into the upper level winds. Aloft, we're seeing that wind direction changing to a more southwesterly flow, and even south-southwesterly. That's going to help to be able to create is more of those supercells later this afternoon back through Iowa, and as well as northern Missouri and western Illinois. Those areas become much more concerning later today. That's what we're looking at that direction. Thank you, Myra, for the $1 super chat. I appreciate it. Or Mayra. I'm jelly. I want to see hail so bad. I want to be a storm chaser just for that hail. The hail's been pretty crazy with this storm. Is anybody in this area, by the way? Anywhere near Aurora? Let me know what you're seeing out there. Again, stay away from windows. Don't, get close to windows to take photos or anything like that. But let me know what you're seeing out there. If you're able to. Obviously, if you can't, don't go near windows. Zoom back into this real quick. This is the correlation coefficient. Again, this is indicating our hail right now. The main hail core is actually located right next to Naperville. So if you're in Naperville, that's where the main hail core is right now located, for just reference there. So over Interstate 88 is where we're seeing the largest hailstone sizes. Yeah, ping pong ball size and golf ball size is different. Ping pong balls are 1.5 inches in diameter. Golf balls are 1.75 inches in diameter. Thanks, Kevin, for the 199. Always got me covered. No problem at all. Try to go live as much as I can. Hail is so strong it went through my roof. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but if it did, stay safe. Again, stay on the lowest floor possible away from windows until a storm passes. That is definitely scary if that happened. Thank you, DK, for the $10 super chat for the pizza fun with how many live streams you've been doing lately. I will actually take that. I was going to go to Blaze Pizza the other night after that 5-hour live stream, but I never did. So I'll be going to Blaze Pizza with that $10 super chat. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Really do appreciate it. I've been doing live streams like non-stop recently. I'm telling you right now, I've worked a good 50 hours this past week on live streams, doing videos, all that sort of stuff. It's been busy on YouTube. I think the channel combined now on max velocity, I think we've had about 1 million views in the past like 8 days or something like that. It's insane. Absolutely wild. I'm glad that all of you guys are finding my channel, obviously, you know, useful. That's the main purpose of this channel. I literally could care less about viewership and all that, but it is really wild how many people watch these videos now. It has gotten to the point where I am utterly shocked. Thank you, Michigan Man, for the $5 super chat. Going to be rolling through Rockford, Illinois, sometime between 10 and 12 o'clock Central Time tonight. How bad is it going to be? Rockford, Illinois. Let me figure out where that is first. I'm guessing that's somewhere near Chicago, but I could be wrong. That is back over. Oh, that's in oh, never mind. That's in Northern Illinois. I kind of knew that, but I didn't. Northern Illinois, that part. There might be some storms by then, but I wouldn't be too concerned. Just make sure that you are keeping a close eye to the radar if you're driving through that area later tonight. I'll double check the future radar to see if anything is too concerning there. Yeah, there's a chance for like a storm or two near Rockford, so just keep a close eye on the radar. That would be between probably the best chance right now for that would be probably between like 8 to 11-ish. So thanks, Amy. Hail stopped in Aurora, confirmed. I can confirm that too. There's no hail anymore there. It's just green. That means just very light rain, if anything now. Hail core is located over Naperville and Wheaton right now. For my Naperville viewers, have you been seeing anything out there in the last few minutes? We also have a small hail core developing back over here near Maple Park, Interstate 88, Elburn. Well, just a little heads up there. Again, this storm is quickly approaching Chicago. Chicago will probably be hit within, I would say, the next 20 minutes. The storm has sped up a bit. It was not this fast earlier. It was going much slower. Hail just stopped in Naperville. Thank you for the report. Yeah, if you're on the northern side of Naperville, that is where that larger hail is definitely at right now. For sure. We've had some recent reports, as I mentioned before, of tennis ball-sized hail. And the tennis ball-sized hail threat has really probably gone down with this. The correlation coefficient, let's go back to that. Baseball-sized hail was also a thing with this a few moments ago. But the correlation coefficient recently is indicating that that hail core is becoming a bit smaller over Naperville, so that might be some good news, but we're probably at least still seeing quarter, half dollar, maybe in ping pong ball-sized hail ongoing here near Warrenville. Recent reports in Aurora were golf ball size, so this storm could intensify again as it does approach areas like Chicago, so keep that in mind. But again, this is moving quickly off to the north and east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. We'll see if the National Weather Service does make any changes to this over the next several minutes, but for right now, that is what we're looking at. We do have a new upgrade to a warning back up here. This is now for Rockford. This warning here, this is a huge hail core near Rockton and Roscoe. This has just been upgraded to hen egg sized hail. So a new update here for this storm. This is now up to hen egg sized hail north of Rockford. Very significant hail right now. Yeah, this is right now moving off to the north and east. That'll be entering into southern portions of Wisconsin here pretty soon. We're going to keep a very close eye on this, but look at this hail core, man. This thing is massive. Moving off to the north and east. Correlation coefficient, holy cow, that's huge hail. Correlation coefficient is picking up on a ton of hail right now near Rockton. It's still picking up on it. A lot of hail falling right now in Rockton. Is anybody in Rockton or anywhere in that area? No, in the chat. There's definitely a lot of hail falling there, though. We're actually be able to check out a closer up radar site, I think. Yeah, this is a closer up radar site on the storm near Chicago. Warning has been condensed, so if you're in Oak Lawn, you will not have hail in your lawn anytime soon. Bolingbrook, you're probably fine with the storm. It's off to your north. Orlando Park or Orland Park, you're not in the track of this either anymore. This is the storm right now, closer up near Brookfield. It is approaching quite quickly. Again, there's not really a whole lot of rotation here. It's more of a hail threat right now. The hail threat is definitely going to be comprised into this area near Wheaton and Downers Grove. This radar site should update much more often. So we have that now on the map. Out of Hampshire, Illinois, small hail, lots of rain, no wind. Thank you, Gross, for the report. That's out of Hampshire, Illinois. What does egg hail look like? It looks like Easter eggs. It's like a, it's like an Easter egg hunt out here. We've had some Easter egg hunts already over in Aurora. We had some Easter eggs out there. People were reporting that we had some people doing some Easter egg hunts a little bit early before Easter happens. Easter Bunny came early. I'm kidding. But no, it's about 2 inches in diameter when we're talking about hen egg sized hail. That is typically going to be in the realm of 2 inches in diameter. But you can always do the plus and minus thing. Like plus means 2.25 inches. Minus means usually 1.75 inches. So, but it's usually 2 inches in diameter for hen egg sized hail. It's not always shaped like an egg, just for reference. Iowa will start to ramp up with severe weather closer to 4 to 7 o'clock this afternoon. That is where significant tornado threat, damaging winds, and very large hail will all be possible. Again, I have kind of already gone over that several times. If you go to the very beginning of this live stream, you have all the latest details on Iowa. I talked about that a lot at the beginning, so if you want to skip back to the beginning of this live stream, make sure to check that out. It has more details. We do have a little bit of an inflow on the southern side of the storm. Again, I'm not too concerned about the tornado risk. The temperatures are just so much cooler here. Not just that, we just have a lot of issues with having an actual tornado threat with these cells. The low-level jet is much weaker over here, but there is a little bit of an inflow here, so we're watching that closely, but I'm not too concerned about anything that dangerous. If there were to be a tornado, it would be very brief and weak. But there is a new report out of Warrenville of golf ball-sized hail 11 minutes ago that just came out, or 12 minutes ago, that just came out. So this storm is producing somewhere around golf ball-sized hail right now, moving off to the east-northeast. And the hail core is right now located over Wheaton and Downers Grove. 2 different hail cores, not too far away from Chicago right now. Again, make sure that you are staying away from windows. And we still have a storm up here near Roscoe and as well as Rockton and just north of Rockford in Illinois that is right now producing hen egg-sized hail. So keep a close eye on that one. We're really watching this storm, though, as it approaches Chicago because this one's been pretty nasty for a while. Just had a report out of Wheaton from somebody in chat. Hail is right now about pea-sized, sub-quarter. Thank you for the report. Yeah, it might vary. It depends on where you are in Wheaton, too. I mean, if you're on the northern side of Wheaton, you're probably talking about much smaller hailstones. Larger hailstones are going to be located in the downtown area, just south of there as well, back near Westmont. Those areas are going to have much larger hailstones, with this storm in particular as it approaches Chicago. No problem, Dixon. Have a good day, Slim. Thanks for being my James fan. I'm nowhere near James fan. I'm nowhere near him. He's a lot more knowledgeable than I am. And a lot better than me. Back over here, just west of Chicago, latest radar scan just came through. Again, this looks like it has a pretty nasty hook, by the way. I mean, it looks like it. There's an inflow into the storm, but the low-level winds are going to be very weak here, so the tornado risk is much lower. Again, a brief tornado wouldn't be out of the question if it does intensify, but I'm not that concerned about a tornado risk right now. I'm still much more concerned about the hail risk with this. Our hail core is located over Wheaton. There's a little area here near Downers Grove that has a little bit of hail as well. So again, make sure that you are staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Yeah, this is a region that we're watching for the potential for some significant hail as it moves off to the east. Friendly reminder, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. We're only a couple of subscribers from 44,000. Also, make sure to like the stream if you've been enjoying it so far. Thank you, Denise, for the $4.99. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Ace, for the $5 super chat. What's the chance of a tornado for Aurora today or tomorrow? The threat overall is low, and that goes for anywhere within a 25-mile radius of you. It is a low threat. It's not zero, though, so just make sure you have your tornado action plan in place and have multiple ways to receive warnings. Owesgo has report of a golf ball-sized hail. Took one to my big toe. All right, interesting. Thank you for the report. I don't know where that exactly is in this region. I'm not gonna lie. I do appreciate the report. Do all cells with a hail core have the potential for a tornado? Not always. I mean, you have to look at the actual environmental parameters for severe weather. And with that, I mean, I'm talking about like a low-level jet. I'm talking about the upper-level winds. And really just a lot of ingredients have to go into a tornado. It's not just a hailstorm being able to produce a tornado threat. Last night over in North Texas, there was a very weak low-level jet and upper-level winds. which led to a very there were updrafts, but the intensity of those updrafts didn't last that long, and those cells lasted 1 to 2 hours tops. And those cells never really were rotating at all, and there was not a whole lot of rotation with those, but they were producing upwards of tennis ball sized hail. So gotta keep that in mind. Like, there's a ton of environmental parameters. It's not just that. So it's not just, you know, if there's a hail core in a storm that guarantees a tornado threat. That's not exactly true, especially with this environment. I mean, the temperatures right now, it might shock you, but we're seeing severe weather here with temperatures in the upper 40s and low 50s. This storm back up here producing hen egg sized hail is right now in an environment that has temperatures at the surface around 48 degrees. So, you know, just keep that in perspective too. Even back up here in southeast Wisconsin, temperatures are only in the mid 40s. Then over in Iowa, interesting temperature contrast. That warm front is right now lifting to the north. You can actually see it. The warm front is basically right here. It's all lifting to the north right now. That's going to create the severe weather threat later today. Temperatures are ranging in the state from 32 all the way back through 82 degrees. It's a 50% or 50 degree temperature contrast across the state of Iowa. Crazy stuff. And here's the live radar feed right now. This is closing in on Wheaton. That's where the hail core is. We have a closer up radar site here. So you can see that here. That's where the hail core is primarily. It's back up here near Wheaton. We also have another little area here down near Downers Grove. And this is back to the velocities. So again, I'm not really too concerned about the rotation of these supercells, but there might be some damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour here across areas just to the west of Chicago right now. That's where we're looking again. That's where the supercell is approaching near Chicago, moving off to the east-northeast. We'll see if it directly hits Chicago or not. It's going to be a pretty close call, though, for Chicago. Pete, a golf ball-sized hail in Elgin. Thank you for the report. Also, if you do have any reports, always relate them to the National Weather Service. You don't have to always relate them to me. I'd prefer you tell the National Weather Service that there's hail in this location that's this large. It helps them out a lot more than it will help me. It just, you know, me saying it is basically just making sure that people are aware of the actual hailstone size with certain storms. Thank you, by the way, Josh, for sending that in on Twitter. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys have any photos or videos, feel free to send them in. This is another video of hail. This is back over somewhere in Illinois. I missed the name. See here, all the hail falling. A lot of smaller hailstone sizes here, it looks like. Pea-sized. Yeah, pea-sized. Maybe a little bit of nickel-sized, the maximum there. That was out of Shabona, Illinois. Yeah, we've seen a lot of videos of much larger hail at this point. So, Aurora, Illinois had the biggest hit. There was a ton of hail falling there. Thanks, Misty. Appreciate it. Yeah, and this storm is continuing to march towards Chicago over the next several minutes. This is the live radar feed right now. Again, a lot of hail probably falling here closer to Wheaton. Let's go to the correlation coefficient again. And yeah, that's your hail core right now. The hail core is right now located near Elmhurst and Lombard, just in the outer rim here of Chicago, near Addison as well. That's near Interstate 355. Moving off to the east-northeast, going towards Interstate 90 here pretty soon. Interstate 294 will be in the track. And again, west right now of Chicago is where this currently is. We have a ton of hail, by the way, coming in for reports. I'm not going to go over all of these. There are a load of different reports here. We've had upwards of 2-inch diameter hail, though, near Aurora. There was a report of up to tennis ball-sized hail as well. So just keep that in mind, but we're probably not going to go over all those reports. There are so many of them. But you get the general idea that the reports have been between quarter-sized all the way up to baseball size. That's been our range of reports here over the last couple of hours. New York City weather is mad boring. Well, that's New York City weather for you. Lindsay, if you want to contact the National Weather Service, they have a phone number. You can tweet them on Twitter, but always make sure you actually give them like all the information, like, you know, hailstone size, a picture of it if you can, or a video, a location, the exact location, and that sort of thing. Addison had a confirmed tornado last Friday. Yeah, there was several tornadoes here in the state of Illinois the other day. I don't think there'll be as many today, but, you know, there could very well be at least maybe 1 or 2 later today. Especially on the western half of the state. The western half of the state is much more concerning for the tornado risk late today into tomorrow. And then tomorrow morning is when that threat for severe weather ramps up again. If you guys have not already heard, the Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk of severe weather for the eastern half, or really like the eastern third of Illinois. This includes Chicago, back through even southern portions of Illinois. It's a huge area for tomorrow. So yeah, again, be prepared for tomorrow as well. There will likely be some significant severe weather over that direction. Again, a nasty supercell is continuing to move towards Chicago. Next radar scan will be out in just a moment, so we'll see what the storm looks like by then. The storm is still producing hail up to golf ball sized and damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. We're currently in Illinois. Again, this storm has been slowly moving further off to the east, northeast, and northeast, so there's some good news there if you're in Chicago. There's a chance that this storm does just narrowly miss you, but we'll see what happens. Again, the next radar scan will give us a much better idea about what we're looking at there. And yeah, it's moving further off to the north and east right now. So Chicago shouldn't get directly hit by this. The upper level winds or even like the mid level winds are moving now a bit more to the south or out of the southwest. That's helping to move this storm direction more to the northeast right now. So this storm's moving much more off to the north and east than before. This cell is definitely moving that direction, which could even increase the tornado risk a little bit. But right now, there's not a whole lot of rotation with this cell near the surface. But this cell is now moving through Bensonville, Elmhurst, as well as Norridge, and eventually going towards areas like Des Plaines and Mount Prospect and Glenview. Those areas will be in the track here pretty soon. Chicago, you're not out of the way yet of this storm. There's a lot of lightning with this storm, so make sure you're staying indoors, away from windows. And also, there is still a possibility that you get something, but it does seem like that threat for Chicago is becoming much, much lower, which is good news. But it is going to be moving through a lot of the suburbs areas here near Chicago. Like Arlington Heights is about to be hit by the storm as well here in a few moments. You can see here a bit of a wider view of this. Multiple areas of storms right now. A lot of hail cores. We got one near Bellwood, another one near Elgin. We got another one back up near Crystal Lake. Even in Crystal Lake, there are several hail cores right now with these storms in the Chicago suburbs. But this storm definitely looks very concerning. I know it looks like a hook right here. Inflow is very clean, but again, we don't have a whole lot of low-level rotation to be able to produce a tornado risk right now, which is good news. A lot of good news, but also, again, the hail threat is not really good news at all. Cells popping up near Houston, Texas. I'll have to look. There's a lot of moisture down there, so I'm not overly surprised. Yeah, it's not that surprising. There's a lot of humidity. The winds are very strong out of the south. We have a negatively tilted trough, which what that does, it helps pull more moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. And yeah, some minor convection is not like, you know, something that's out of the ordinary there. Just found a caterpillar on the shirt I'm wearing outside. Interesting. No problem, Eric. Oh yeah, friendly reminder, by the way, for today, everybody in any of the risk of severe weather, you should all do this right now. Charge your phones, iPads, devices, everything like that. Make sure those are all charged ahead of the severe weather today, because again, we could have some power outages. In addition to that, make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. You can even look up on Google all the different ways to receive alerts, one of which is like a phone app, a YouTube live stream, social media, whatever it might be. That's also another way. Sirens, do not rely on sirens. I cannot stress that enough. Do not rely on sirens. They're not always reliable. But again, phone app is always a really good way to get alerts and that sort of stuff. And honestly, just watching the radar, that's always a good idea as well. For precautions for today, make sure that you are hatching down your trampoline so they don't fly away, covering plants, taking down patio umbrellas. I cannot stress that enough either. People leave patio umbrellas up all the time during severe weather. Make sure you take those down, because those things, if they do end up if the wind starts picking up, those things can go flying into windows and homes and all that sort of stuff. You don't want that to happen. So make sure you take down patio umbrellas, cover plants, loose line items, take that stuff inside, all that sort of stuff. There is a small cell that is developing near Justin, Texas, but it is not severe. I do appreciate you mentioning that. Actually, I'm going to post on that real quick on Facebook. Thank you, Decora, for the $10 super chat. I'll get to your message in a second. Or Deborah, sorry. The $10 super chat. Get to that here in just a second. And friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below and like the stream if you have been finding this content useful so far. Thank you, Deborah, for the $10 super chat. Kansas City, Missouri, timing and intensity. Is there a chance that it could miss us entirely? Let me go through that real quick. Let's go over to Kansas. I'll give you a quick idea of what you can expect here. It probably won't miss you. You'll have a line of storms developing sometime between 10 and 2 o'clock tonight. That will be mainly a damaging wind threat, but there might be an isolated tornado risk. That's your main concern for tonight. Thank you again for the $10 super chat. All right, some updates on the warnings. Let's kind of go through these warnings again. We're going to start with the north. We still have a massive hail core here east of Rockton, approaching southern Wisconsin near Sharon, and as well as Delavan. I don't know how to say that name. Those areas are in the track right now of a very large hail core, up to golf ball sized hail as possible. This is moving off to the north and east, right around 40 miles per hour. Storms are moving through Arlington Heights, as well as areas near Highwood. Those storms are moving off to the east right now. You can see here hail core right now over Lake Zurich, and another one back over here just to the west of Arlington Heights. We have another one near South Elgin. These are all for the potential for up to ping pong ball sized hail, and the storm here near Bensonville is producing hail up to the size of golf balls. That is just to the west northwest of Chicago. This storm right now is moving to the northeast towards Evanston. So if you're in Chicago, this storm should narrowly miss you, but you might see at least a little bit of hail, or not a lot, sorry, not hail. You might see a little bit of lightning, and the hail threat's mainly off to the west. And speaking of hail, there was just a hail report out of Wheaton of ping pong ball sized hail at the College of DuPage. So, new report there. Golf ball sized hail in Warrenville was reported recently as well. So those are the most recent reports here in northeast Illinois. Deluvan, thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I'm gonna check if we see if any. I think we have more reports that I've not looked at yet. We have a few new reports coming out of these storms. We have another one out of Leslie, Illinois. That is nickel-sized hail, so not too bad there. Shabona, Illinois just had a report of a few 5-inch diameter trees snapped, numerous branches down as well from a large hail, and sporadic roof and shingle damage. That's over in Shabona. Golf ball sized hail was reported a while ago back over in Waterman. That was up to 2 inches, so that's old. Seven Rivers, New Mexico. There was a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. 65. All right, well, that's out of New Mexico. That is not Illinois. Those are some of the most recent reports that we just had that are not on this map already. How's it going, Kenley? Yeah, there are a couple storms forming in there's like one little cell that formed in North Texas. It's not going to be severe. It's just an elevated storm, it looks like. And back even in Southeast Texas, they're just elevated convection. Not really that bad, to be honest with you. Pretty minimal activity, in my opinion. Which is typical. It is typical stuff. Arkansas ranges from an enhanced risk to a moderate risk. Depends on where you are at. Again, here's a little widespread view right now of this entire region with all the severe weather. Within the next hour, these storms are going to be into the Great Lakes. They may still go through Michigan, so if you're in Michigan, you could see maybe an isolated severe weather threat, but the threat does remain quite low at this time. Storms are still continuing to produce ping pong ball sized hail and golf ball sized hail as well. A couple of different areas there of some hail. Again, one near Elmhurst, another one back up here to the north, closer to Buffalo Grove. You can see there, that's a hail core right around ping pong ball sized hail. That's 1.5 inches in diameter. And then another hail core back near Bensonville. This has had a history of producing up to tennis ball sized hail, but right now it's warned for about 1.75 inches in diameter. That is golf ball sized hail. Next radar scan is coming in, I believe, right now. Yeah, there we go. So this is the latest radar scan. The storm just west of Chicago is pretty concerning. Hail threat is still there. I mean, we're talking about golf ball sized hail near Bensonville. Let's go to the velocities. Again, we're not really seeing a rotating supercell here, which is good news. There is not a whole lot of rotation near the surface, even though it looks like this has like a hook shape and it also has an inflow. It's not overly concerning. Again, the temperatures are not really that warm here. The low level jet is not that strong, which means rotating supercells are a little bit less of a likelihood here. So overall, the threat for a tornado is still very, very low with a cell like this, but still keep it in mind. Make sure you have your tornado action plan in place in case the storm does sporadically somehow develop a brief, weak tornado, because that's not out of the question. A quick, brief, weak tornado is still a possibility, but that's near Bensonville, Elmhurst. This is moving off to the northeast towards Norridge, and Elmwood Park is currently seeing this as well, just to the northwest of Chicago. This will eventually go towards Evanston and Arlington Heights as well over the next several minutes. Hey, good luck, Austin. Thanks for the $4.99. Good luck with the drive. I do remember you. I remember most people. Stay safe on the drive from Indianapolis to Milwaukee. You should be fine. Again, I don't think you'll have many issues. It's more than anything just getting past this activity, because the storm action later today shouldn't be too bad. Again, we have a nasty supercell back up near Sharon and Delavan. Moving off to the north and east. Golf ball sized hail. We'll be watching that one closely as well, but we're going to watch the one near Chicago most closely over the next several minutes. And we have a very nasty supercell here moving off to the northeast towards Evanston. It shouldn't impact Chicago with the hail threat, but there will be lightning in the area, so stay indoors here in this region. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning in Missouri. This is back over southeast of Kansas City. This is a couple of little cells that are developing quite early for some half-dollar sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Again, we're not at the point where we're watching for a significant tornado threat yet, but this will be something to watch for long-term as they do develop. So we'll keep a close eye on that. And a few new warnings back over there in Missouri. All right, let's go back a little bit closer here. And we'll do that. Hugh, how did you realize? I do purposely avoid a lot of the name pronunciations. You might notice it occasionally, but I do that a lot, especially in the Midwest. The Midwest names are like the hardest thing to pronounce. All right, we have a new mesoscale discussion to go over like ASAP, so I'm going to give you that breakdown like right now. I'm not sure if it's going to show up on here, but we'll see. Last one didn't. I don't think this one will either. I think the mesoscale discussions are broken, but this is a new update. This is pretty important as well. I'll zoom in as much as I can. All right, so increasing potential for supercells, very large hail, tornadoes, some strong and damaging winds. A tornado watch is likely over the next couple of hours. So we're going to see a new tornado watch for this region by probably 4 o'clock at the latest. That is for Iowa, northern Missouri, and western Illinois. That is where that warm front, you can actually see it on here. That's where your warm front is now lifting to the north. We're going to start to see some clearing clouds here. You can actually see the supercell here down there as well. So again, new tornado watch will be issued here shortly. Will this be a PDS tornado watch? It's entirely possible, but this is an area that we have a very big concern this afternoon for a significant tornado risk, especially across southeast Iowa and central Iowa. That's the area that I have a lot more concerns about today, but also western Illinois, northern Missouri will be included, into a tornado watch sometime probably before 3:30. So again, new update there. Dry lines back out here to the west. That should initiate some supercells later today. So again, brand new tornado watch will be issued in a couple of hours, if not sooner, across areas there into the Iowa, western Illinois, and northern Missouri region. That was just issued recently. All right, here's the latest radar scan back near Chicago. Again, we do have a supercell still rolling through areas just to the northwest of Chicago. We have a little hook here as well. That's near Elmhurst. We're still seeing golf ball-sized hail potential near Norridge and Bensonville. This is moving off to the north and east, so again, make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. As this storm does continue to approach areas near the Great Lakes region, we're still watching for some significant hail, and in multiple areas, by the way. One north of Arlington Heights, another one right next to Arlington Heights, another one near Elgin, by the way. There's a little hail core that developed there. And then this is our other hail area that is including areas northwest of Chicago near Elk Grove Village. Yes, this looks like a tornado sort of thing. Again, this looks like a hook echo. It looks like a classic supercell. Again, the problem is these storms that we're looking at right now, the temperatures near the surface are very cool. There's not a whole lot of buoyancy either. And the low-level jet is not that strong over here. It's quite weak. It's much stronger back out to the west where that warm front is, well, there's a warm front here, but back out to the west where the warm front is lifting up to the north in Iowa, the low-level jet is much stronger, which in that sense, this is what helps to rotate supercells, and it's not really that strong over here. So the rotation of this is not really going to be existent at the surface. It's pretty weak, and if you look at the velocities, there's not really much of anything there. Some good news there. And this warning still does include Chicago. This storm should just stay barely to the north of Chicago. It's going to impact the suburbs more than anything over the next little while, with golf ball-sized hail being a potential threat. Yes, there have been several semi-trucks flipped over. I know Dixon, Illinois had a ton of reports of that. That has been a thing over the last little while. There have been a ton of reports of flipped over semi-trucks. Hey, stay safe in Bentonville. Stay safe. We're only one subscriber from 44,300. If you have not already, make sure to subscribe down below. 3,000 of you are watching. I almost can guarantee you over 2,000 of you are not subscribed. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. We actually might be able to get to 45,000 subscribers before this live stream ends if you subscribe. So if you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe. We do video forecasts, live streams all the time. We keep you posted with the latest on severe weather and all that sort of stuff. A quick update on the storm crossing now into Wisconsin near Sharon. This is an area that we're looking at some pretty large hail potential going into Sharon and Delavan Lake. That area is currently seeing the potential for some golf ball sized hail and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That is a very large hail core. Just a friendly reminder, this just came out moments ago, a tornado watch. So a tornado watch will likely be issued in this area within the next 2 hours. So within the next 2 hours, we're watching for a new tornado watch across areas in Iowa, northern Missouri, and western Illinois. This is a mesoscale discussion. I'm glad it just updated on here. So this is where we'll likely see the potential for a tornado watch within the next 2 hours. This is where we could see several tornadoes, which a few of those could be strong, damaging winds, and large to very large hail. We could be talking about upwards of apple-sized hail today across this region. That is, again, a new tornado watch will be issued here probably sometime before 4 o'clock Central Time. And I would honestly expect it by 3 o'clock. That's when I'm thinking this tornado watch will be issued. But, again, see what happens there. There is a warning, by the way, in Missouri. We'll keep a close eye on it. This storm is not rotating right now, but these will be storms to watch for as they move into a more favorable environment. They are not really in a favorable environment quite yet, even though that area there will become a more favorable environment later today. Here's a closer view of the storms, by the way, near Chicago right now. All right, let me go over to here real quick. Let's go back over to Twitter. I'm going to see if we have any new reports here. We just gained 100 subscribers in about 20 seconds after I said make sure to subscribe. Holy cow. All right, let's see. All right, no new reports as of this time in terms of the storms near Chicago. Look at this hail core near Chicago, by the way. This is a pretty area. This is a dangerous area for hail. Golf ball-sized hail potential exists just a few miles to the north of Chicago near Lincolnwood. That's along Interstate 90. If you're along Interstate 94 or 90 and you're a truck driver, I would pull over right now. There is some very large hail potential right now near Interstate 94. Again, that's moving off to the northeast right now. So make sure to stay indoors, away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. This is an area, again, where we have the potential for some golf ball-sized hail or even maybe larger near Chicago. And this is moving into areas just to the northwest of Chicago. Very large hail potential does exist there. We're going to probably stay on this screen here for now. Speaking of Dixon, Illinois, can you tell me where that tornado in that circle will be? Dixon, Illinois. You're not in the... I don't think you'll be into the tornado watch. There's a chance you are, but yeah, if you're in the tornado watch, you have a chance for storms between really about 5 to about 10 o'clock in Dixon. That's your best chance for your potential second round of storms. If you're over in Dixon, Davenport is definitely going to be in that tornado watch. Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Kansas City probably will not be in that tornado watch, but maybe just to the north of there. Quincy will probably be in the tornado watch. I wouldn't rule that out. But again, I think the worst area for those supercells today will be in here. That's the area that I think will have the worst chance for significant tornadoes, which those could be long tracked and strong. Again, for those that are just tuning in, this is where a tornado watch will be issued within the next 2 hours. Storm Prediction Center just came out and said that. Again, damaging winds, large hail, threat for strong tornadoes will exist across this large area As far north as Waterloo, as far south, again, it's areas like the lower Mississippi Valley and the Ozarks, but that area will not see severe weather until later tonight. Again, this storm looks like it should have a tornado, but it does not. Again, it's a pretty potent supercell, though, producing hail up to golf ball sized near Elmwood Park in Norridge. It's about to be moving into Lincolnwood and Evanston. That's north of Chicago. That's what we're looking at right now with that hailstorm. Plenty of other hailstorms as well through Arlington Heights, back through Elgin and Elk Grove Village. Make sure that you are, again, staying away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building if you're in this area. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, again, friendly reminder, we do live streams like this all the time for severe weather coverage. Make sure to like the stream and subscribe. We're only 50 subscribers from 44,500. If you're enjoying the content here and find the coverage useful. Guys, if you're asking questions, please do not spam them. I'm only going to be able to answer so many. I have like 50 questions a minute in chat. Please do not ask like multiple times. If you asked once, if I don't get to it, I apologize. If you go to the very beginning of this live stream, I've answered literally every question possible. So it has all the timing for you, all those sort of details. So make sure to check that out. If you go to like the very beginning of this live stream, it has all those details for you. Again, there are so many questions. I'm one person. You guys are 3,500 people. I can only answer so many questions. Just kind of bear with me. I'm only going to answer like a handful. I'm not even answering that many, to be honest with you right now. We have so many things going on already that I'm trying to focus more on what's happening right now. And also, again, we have the threat for severe weather in a few hours. We'll be really keeping a close eye on that later today. No problem, Justin. No problem, Sarah. All right, here's the latest radar scan that just came in. Again, we have a few areas of hail that we're still watching. One north of Norridge. We have another one near Arlington Heights. And another one just near Interstate 90, that's east of Elgin. So 3 different pockets of hail. We have actually a small one just south of Evanston as well. That's probably $quarter to $half sized hail. So keep in mind, again, we have several different areas of hail. National Weather Service observation at O'Hare Airport just reported nickel-sized hail, or maybe even dime-sized hail. So that's good news. Hailstone sizes are a little bit smaller. Here's your severe thunderstorm warning for those north of Chicago now. It no longer includes the downtown area of Chicago. But this is producing the threat up to golf ball sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. This is again right now moving off to the north and east through Lincolnwood and as well as Evanston Park over the next several minutes. So make sure you're staying away from windows. Further up here to the north, we still have severe weather ongoing. This is large to very large hail potential. Lake Forest is also seeing that threat for some large to very large hail. This is all again moving off to the north and east right now. Back up here as well into Wisconsin. I'm not forgetting about you in Wisconsin. There is a severe storm near Walworth. This is producing the threat for some large to very large hail as well. Golf ball sized hail is what it has produced at one point, but it is moving up to the north and east. We actually had a confirmation of ping pong ball sized hail in Rockton. This storm is moving off to the north and east towards Burlington, Wisconsin, and eventually going towards Waterford and Wind Lake. That's near Interstate 43, just to the east and southeast of that area. All right, no new updates on that warning right now. We'll keep you posted with the other storm in Missouri as well, if anything does change there. All right, go over to Twitter real quick. See if there's any other reports in this area. Let's see. By the way, there's actually a fire warning for one county in Oklahoma right now. Just a little heads up here. If you know anybody in Custer County. Custer County is under a fire warning. One part of the county. That's near Clinton, Oklahoma, and Weatherford, Oklahoma. That's west of Oklahoma City. There's actually a fire warning there. There's an extreme fire risk today back over in western Oklahoma. There's very, very dry air behind this entire system. So the fire risk is elevated today. And even extreme in some areas. Out on Interstate 90 outside of Rockford by Machini Park, I don't know how to say that name, but near Rockford, about 45 minutes ago, there was a flipped semi-truck. So, again, there have been a lot of flipped semi-trucks with this storm, or these storms. Back near Dixon was when we had the most reports of flipped semi-trucks. That's back near Interstate 88. So keep that in mind. Again, if you're anywhere in this region, there have been a ton of flipped semi-trucks. And yeah, just make sure that you're aware of that if you're on the roadways. There are going to be, with these winds that are currently ongoing near Interstate 94 and 90, that's definitely not out of the question that we see some more of that over the next like 15 to 20 minutes before these storms finally move into the Great Lakes. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Wisconsin. It's a very small sliver. It's basically just in addition to what we already had here. But this is basically going to be for Walworth and Genoa City. That is going to be for the threat for quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. We still have hail rolling through areas in the Chicago suburbs right now as we speak for the next several minutes. Let's go back over to here. We're only 13 subscribers, by the way, from 44,500. If you've not already, subscribe to the channel. Do live streams, forecasts, all that sort of stuff all the time. Again, I'm trying to answer some questions in chat, so if you have any, I'll try to answer a few, but do not spam them, please. Ask them once. I might get to them. Here's the latest radar scan, by the way, and new update, by the way, back over in South Barrington. We actually have a little bit of a hail core increase again on this little cell back near South Barrington. That's near Arlington Heights. So if you're in Arlington Heights, you might get hit again with at least a small scale hail core. It's not that large, but there is a threat for at least some hail with this. It's likely not that much hail in comparison to what we've seen over the last little while. The correlation coefficient is not indicating a ton of hail with this. There is hail, though, for sure, near South Barrington. So a little bit of an increase in the hail core. There is still a little bit of hail back over near Niles and Glenview. The correlation coefficient is picking up still on some hail here. So there's definitely still some hail approaching Evanston and as well as Wilmette. In those areas, we'll see that hail core over the next few minutes. That is for the threat of upwards of golf ball sized hail as that continues to move off to the north and east near Interstate 94, moving off closer to the Great Lakes. Joel just said in chat, some hail in Evanston. Thank you for the report. Appreciate it. All right, I've been live for 3 hours. I have to really quickly take a bathroom break. I'll be back in 60 seconds. Stay tuned. We'll go over all the storms again in depth. We'll go over the new tornado watch in a moment. Our new tornado watch that will be issued soon in a moment. And we'll also go over the supercell that just developed in Missouri. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 60 seconds. While I take a quick break, I just wanted to give you a friendly reminder to hit that red button down below and subscribe. That way you never miss an accurate and honest forecast from Max Velocity. Also, make sure to hit that bell icon and click all so you receive all notifications when I go live or I have a video forecast for you. Also, hit the like button down below as well. Helps our page out a lot. And if you're feeling generous and you want to support our page above and beyond, you can become a member for as little as $2.99 per month. All you need to do is click that little join button and you can select from 4 different tiers, which will give you different benefits from bloopers access to exclusive forecasts. You will also get a shout out here on our live stream. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Back to here. All right. All right, no new updates there on that. All right, cool. Let me just go over here real quick. Just making sure there's no other updates or reports. All right, let's go over some of the storms that we have out there now. We'll kind of break down what's happening in terms of the radar, all that sort of stuff, and the other storms that are developing right now back over in Missouri. And we'll break down the new tornado watch that'll be issued here pretty soon. So, beginning with the Midwest, we still have some severe storms ongoing, one of which is north of Chicago. That is no longer really in this box. It's actually going to be back up here into Niles and as well as Evanston. That is where we've just had a few reports of hail falling. It's probably somewhere in the variety of $quarter to $half size, but I would not rule out a couple of hailstones near Ping Pong Ball. Another little storm back west of Arlington Heights. This is producing that hail threat as well. Right around Ping Pong Ball sized hail is possible. That is moving off to the east-northeast. Another little area of hail as well near Lake Forest. That's about to move into the Great Lakes, so that's good news there. Another storm going on into Wisconsin now. This is northern Illinois back into southern Wisconsin. This storm near Harvard is producing some large to even maybe very large hail, possibly up to golf ball sized, and also a bit further up to the north near Walworth, and as well as going towards Lake Geneva. This is an area that we're watching for the potential for upwards of $1.25 to $1/2 sized hail. That's moving off to the north and east. It'll eventually move towards Burlington, Waterford, into southeast Wisconsin over the next several minutes. And again, these are long-tracked hailstorms that we've been watching over the last little while. We have a little elevated shower that's trying to develop near Rochelle, by the way. I'm not concerned about that right now, but something to maybe watch out for later today. For those that are back over here in Iowa, Western Illinois, or in Northern Missouri, this entire region that is outlined is a mesoscale discussion. And what this basically is a discussion about weather. That's how I usually go about it. But this is an area that we're watching for the threat of a tornado watch in the next 2 hours. So a tornado watch is expected to be issued in this region within the next 2 hours or so. I would expect it probably about 3 to 3:30 is when I think it'll be issued officially, but it could be issued anytime between now and like 4 o'clock. That's when this tornado watch will be issued. This entire region, the main concerns are large to very large hail, damaging winds, and the threat for multiple tornadoes are possible, which we very well could see a few strong tornadoes in this region. And honestly, when I think about this area in terms of the greatest tornado risk, it's probably going to be in this region here. I've been saying that for a while. It's probably going to be in very far western Illinois, back through southeastern and central sections of Iowa, and maybe a very small sliver up here of northern Missouri. That is where I think the greatest tornado risk will be today. And also the Storm Prediction Center kind of really almost outlines that region. But this is the region right now where the moderate risk of severe weather is. That is where the threat for some significant storms are likely to occur, with the threat for tornadoes being increased, the hail threat being increased, and damaging wind potential. So this is an area to watch for a more elevated threat of severe weather. Further down to the south, we actually do have a supercell that has now developed. This is producing the threat for some 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds and $1/2 sized hail. This is not yet in a favorable environment for significant severe weather. It probably will be in a few hours. If it lives long enough, it might be able to enter into a more favorable environment by like 3 to maybe 4 o'clock. If it's able to get back up in here, that's where that tornado threat starts to increase a little bit, and as well as the significant hail and damaging wind potential. So once this moves a bit further off to the north and east, that is when things become a bit more concerning. But for right now, it is not yet to actually get into that region. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in that sort of regard as well. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Fox Lake. This is for ping pong ball sized hail. Damaging wind threat is really not existent with this storm. Hail concern is right now near Hebron. That is where a very large hail core is ongoing in very far northern sections here of Illinois. So again, make sure you stay away from windows. Lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. Thank you, Austin, by the way, for becoming a Storm Chaser member. Appreciate it. Thank you. Also, thank you everybody who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate it. We're only 400 subscribers now from 45,000. If all of you right now subscribed and you have not already, make sure to subscribe down below. We might be actually able to hit 45,000 today. Everybody subscribes. Again, this is Lake County and McHenry County, by the way, for Woodstock, Hebron, Spring Grove. That is where we're at right now in Illinois. Again, ping pong ball sized hail, very large hail core back up here near Hebron and also near Harvard. That's where we're seeing some hail right now. Hailstorms also increasing near Arlington Heights. Do we have any viewers right now in Arlington Heights? Let me know in the chat if you're from Arlington Heights or in the vicinity here. Let me know if you're seeing anything as well. We just had a report. Actually, we have multiple reports now in the last like 5 minutes. Rogers Park had penny-sized hail. We had golf ball-sized hail for the largest hailstone size in Harwood Heights moments ago. And Rogers Park had about dime-sized hail. That's the latest on those warnings. They're just updated. Let me know if you're seeing anything if you're in Arlington Heights or anywhere in the vicinity. There is a pretty large hail core, looks like here. Again, don't go close to windows, obviously, but there is some hail at least falling. You can see the correlation coefficient picking up a little bit on that hail near Arlington Heights right now. That's near 14. Moving off to the north and east towards Buffalo Grove. That's a pretty large hail core, though. I mean, honestly, like, the hail is probably going to be a bit of a lower threat now since, again, this environment has already seen a storm. Energy is kind of being a little bit, or there's a lot less energy now for this storm to really survive through, but we definitely do have a hail concern there. Northbrook as well. There is definitely some hail back over here. That is north of Chicago. The warning for Chicago, I'm guessing, will be canceled in a few moments because the storms are now to your north. But this area is still watching for the potential for damaging winds up to 70 and ping pong ball sized hail for the next several minutes north of Chicago. So make sure you're staying away from windows as the storm continues to approach. Also, the warning just got updated. It is now a little bit more condensed. So primarily Lake Forest, Evanston, Arlington Heights, Buffalo Grove. Arlington Heights I already mentioned, but that's the main area right now that we're seeing the large hail potential falling. Filling up my water bottle. You can only imagine how much water I go through on live streams, especially with how fast I talk. It is quite incredible. There are no tornado warnings currently. I am hydrated, thank you. If you have not already noticed, by the way, if you're a regular viewer, I've actually been drinking out of a regular water bottle recently. Shockingly. I used to drink out of that circle water bottle all the time. But, trying to save a little bit of money and not spend up to... Those things cost a lot. They cost like $3 each for those little cartridges, and they only last like 6 water bottles, so... kind of laying back off that for a little while. Pretty expensive. Did I already cover, Peru, Illinois? I don't even know where Peru is. Let me figure out where that is first. Let's see. Peru we have covered, yeah. That region we've already covered. If you want to check out more details on that, it's at the very beginning of this live stream. If you literally just scroll that red little bar at the bottom of your screen all the way back to the beginning, you have all the details there. I am going to go back through the timing real quick, because we do have a new HRR model run coming out, so I do want to give you an idea, everybody give an idea, on the timing for tonight with these severe storms. Here in North Texas, by the way, a little interesting. Oh, sorry, the tornado warning tab should have not been on. I do apologize. There's not a tornado warning. I just realized that. I don't know how that was on. I meant to put severe thunderstorm warning. My apologies. All right, so for timing in North Texas, I just want to point this out. Little update. Possibility for a discrete cell does exist this evening if the cap does break. Or road. I say break, but it's really just a roads. Eventually going closer to 11 to 12. Look at this. Overnight. This isn't good if that happened. So, depending on where this line of storms develops, that'll be kind of interesting. But, yeah, we might see some damaging wind potential out of that. Alright, back to Iowa, though. Iowa's a bit more interesting. So, storms are expected to fire up in Iowa sometime around 4 to 5 o'clock. This is when we'll see discrete cells. You can see here, one discrete cell potential over in eastern Iowa. Another cluster here throughout central Iowa. This is where we could see the threat for significant tornadoes, damaging winds, and very significant hail. That threat will exist throughout probably at least 11 or 12 o'clock tonight. And then back through Illinois and Indiana. This is your timing right now. So storms back out to the west most likely, and then eventually going into the overnight hours. That is when a linear line of storms will likely approach. That is the more concerning feature at this point if you're in central Illinois. So that's the latest run here from the HRR model. This is also another computer model. Shows pretty much the same exact thing. This is the RFS. I've actually never used this model before, but it is new. This is also back through North Texas. Kind of a similar sort of gist here. If the cap breaks, isolated discrete cell this evening, and then overnight, there'll be probably a line of storms that develops. So, yeah, that's the timing right now. Interesting computer model, though. Arlington Heights right now, still seeing some large hail, by the way. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning in Missouri. It's a pretty large one as well. This is for Louisiana, Blackwater, as well as Pilot Grove. This is for the threat of damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and as well as some half-dollar sized hail. There is maybe an increasing tornado risk with this storm right now as well. I wouldn't say it's like high or anything, but there is a little bit of a hook trying to maybe develop there, so keep that in mind as that moves off to the north and east. That'll be going towards Blackwater and Pilot Grove. Solidia as well in the track. So, new severe thunderstorm warning over here in Missouri. I'll have to watch this storm pretty closely, though. Again, this is an environment that will be more favorable for severe weather tonight, for sure. Watching for that quite closely. And significant severe weather still ongoing near Harvard. This is going to be closer to Lake Geneva. Again, significant hail upwards of $half to maybe even ping pong ball sized hail does exist here over the next little while. So make sure that you are staying away from windows. Lowest floor possible interior room of your home or building. Let's go back down here to the south again. Arlington Heights and Highland Park storm right now. We're still seeing some large hail out there near Buffalo Grove, Arlington Heights. We also have another little area here near Highland Park in Northbrook. This is also where we're seeing two different pockets of hail, upwards of ping pong ball sized hail. So again, make sure you're staying away from windows. Arlington Heights, I've had a few people say, is winding down because this storm is probably a bit further to your north and east now. This latest radar scan was 3 minutes ago. So obviously these storms are moving around 30 to 35 miles per hour, which means that this storm is probably now a bit further off to the north and east. So a little bit of good news there. We're going to watch that Missouri storm quite closely to see if it does evolve into anything over the next few minutes. It did have a little bit of a hook shape to it, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Again, further reminder, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you've not already. We do live streams like this all the time and weather forecasts. And if you're enjoying the stream, make sure to like the stream. We're apparently only 5 likes away from 2,000, so make sure to like the stream. All right, let me go over to here again. All right, cool. Make sure I'm good to go in that regard. See if there's any other reports out of these storms. I think we might have a new one. I'm not sure. Oh, no new reports so far out of the storm near Arlington Heights. I think the storm near Arlington Heights right now, the hail core is probably much smaller than the original ones. The correlation coefficient is only picking up on so much, and it's probably quarter, maybe $half size. So it's like 1 inch diameter, probably hail, maybe upwards of $half size. So it's still something to watch out for here, but I'm not overly concerned about the significant hail potential right now with Grove, or Buffalo Grove, excuse me, in Arlington Heights. The storm is going to be moving off to the north and east. These storms right here will be in the Great Lakes altogether within the next like 10 minutes or so. So these should all start to pretty much move into the Great Lakes. But for right now, the main area in the track of this area of storms will probably be Lake Forest, back through areas in Highland Park. That's the main area that I would be more concerned about for a short-term hail potential, upwards of $half sized hail. And you can see here again, the hail core has still maintained its intensity for the most part near Buffalo Grove and Northbrook, but overall it should start to weaken here quite soon. Special marine warnings are in effect, by the way, for the Great Lakes as well. Just kind of throwing that out there. So if you know any fish out there, make sure they're aware. We do have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning as well back near Hebron. This is again producing the threat for $half sized hail. I do want to go back down to the Missouri storm real quick. The radar should update. Yeah, there we go. So if there's any rotation here. Yeah, no low-level wind. The low-level winds are still pretty weak over here. So I'm not too concerned about that storm yet. But it will be concerning if it's able to maintain its intensity as it moves further up to the north and northeast in Missouri. Dime-sized hail in Buffalo Grove. Thank you, Peter, for the report. Appreciate it. Thanks, Justin. Milwaukee's severe weather threat's pretty low. It's much cooler up there. The humidity is much lower as well, so I'm not really that concerned about Milwaukee. If you see any severe weather, it'd be more of just a quarter and $half sized hail threat. Yeah, so for those that are wondering about the severe weather threats for today, again, I try to mention this as much as I can. Today's threat of severe weather here is going to be during the afternoon and evening. Down in here, it's pretty much during the late evening, so late evening into the overnight hours. So there are two different sets of timing here. The threat further down here to the south is going to be during the late evening and overnight hours. And there's a possibility for like an isolated discrete cell or two developing down here during the afternoon or evening. It's not out of the question, but the main threat is during the late evening and overnight hours. It's all during the afternoon and evening hours back up in the Midwest. So keep that in mind. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning near Charleston, apparently. This is so random. We have a very random, I'm telling you, this is so random. Near Charleston, West Virginia, there's a small hailstorm. Near Hamlin, for $half sized hail. All right. Interesting. That is very interesting. That's not even a risk for severe weather today. So, alrighty. You learn something new every day. Tell you right now, on my bingo sheet, that was not in the cards today. Right, severe thunderstorm warning in West Virginia. That thing's alone right here. Like, really, it's like in the middle of nowhere. I really wonder how the storm actually developed, because there's a little bit of convection back up in Ohio, but look at this little cutie over here. Let's go to the velocities. Yeah, not a whole lot. There's no rotation with this, obviously. The winds are less than 50 miles per hour on the warning, but there's some half-dollar sized hail. Near Hamlin. So if you're over southwest of Charleston, heads up. There is a very random supercell that has developed in your location, or near your location. All right, let's go back up to Illinois again. An antisocial storm. That's a good way to put it. There's an antisocial storm over there in West Virginia. Hey, no problem, Amanda. Let me go over to... Actually, we're going to go back to the storm now for a second. Latest radar scan for Buffalo Grove. We still have a hail core here for the next few minutes. We do have a recent report in Rogers Park, Illinois of half-dollar sized hail out of these storms. So a little heads up there. Let's go back to the velocities. Again, out of floor rotation here. That's what we're looking at here. That's near Buffalo Grove. And as well as Northbrook. Moving to the east-northeast towards Highland Park. And Interstate 94 and Interstate 294. Both on the track, again, of the small hail core here for the next several minutes. So again, make sure you stay away from windows as that storm continues to approach in the Highland Park region. Friendly reminder as well, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. Do live streams like this all the time. It's that red button that you can click down below. Click the bell icon as well so you get notified whenever we go live. And, yeah. Let me, double check this real quick. As I said, guys, I have to go, like, before 3 o'clock, but I am going to see... I don't know if I can go live longer than that. I'm going to check, though, real quick. Give me 1 second, please. By the way, the warning up here is down to quarter-sized hail. The storm has weakened quite substantially here in northern Illinois. That's near Hebron and Spring Grove. Hail core is now into southern Wisconsin. Cool. Difference on this storm now. It's moving off to the north and east. Alright. Yeah, I do think I'll have to probably go in, like, within the next 20 minutes, but we'll see. No, I will not be back. There will be plenty of other people live tonight, so you will not have to be concerned about people being live, but I will not be back after 5 o'clock, because I'm basically gone from, like, I'm technically gone from 3:45 to 5 Eastern time, and then I'm gone after that for the entire evening, but yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, I could technically go until 5 Eastern, just like another hour and a half, but I don't think I'm going to. I do not need to miss an important class. Oh yeah, Reed Timmer's gonna be live, isn't he? At like 3 o'clock. Yeah, again, I kind of want to mention this like multiple times, but like over the next few hours between now and like 4 o'clock Central, there's not that much concern about discrete supercells right now. Like there's gonna be a possibility for like 1 or 2. Like this one down here in Missouri, that's kind of forming into now a discrete supercell, so we have to watch that potential closely. But the environmental parameters are not all in place yet here across the Midwest and whatnot, so I'm not overly concerned right now about that threat over the next few hours. It really increases after 4 o'clock Central, and that's really across Iowa, northern Missouri, as well as western sections of Illinois. That's when things really start to ramp up in terms of severe weather, with all modes of severe weather being possible, including strong tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. But yeah, I'm not overly concerned right now about that threat until probably about 4 or 5 o'clock. So we'll keep you posted if anything changes there. By the way, new warning has been issued for Buffalo Grove, Northbrook, Highland Park, Lincolnshire. This just got issued for another 30 minutes for this cell that is about to be moving into the Great Lakes. It's very slowly moving, but it is currently producing ping pong ball sized hail and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That's the latest threat here. No problem, Sandra. Yeah, guys, I try to, again, for those that are new here, again, I'm in college, I'm studying meteorology and all that sort of stuff, a few years in now, but I try to go live as much as possible, but it is quite difficult with the schedule that I have to be live like all the time. So I do apologize, but again, I do what I can do. I really can't control a whole lot of it. So we do have an update on this warning north of Chicago. This is a really concerning storm all of a sudden. We are seeing the potential for very large hail again near River Woods, Northbrook, Highland Park, and Highwood. So an increase to the hail potential here in Illinois has become very well increased over the last few minutes. If you're in this area, make sure you're staying away from windows, lowest floor possible. That is a huge increase on the hail radar, and the hail is huge potentially now. Look at the correlation coefficient. Back over here near Highland Park and Highwood. That is a huge increase on the hail here near River Woods, Interstate 94, and Interstate 294. So if you're in this area, make sure that you are staying away from windows, lowest floor possible. That is a lot of hail that's now falling. Is anybody in River Woods or Highland Park or Highwood? Is anybody in this area? Will I be streaming in class? No, I will not be streaming in class. That'd be an awful idea. Let me just start shouting about warnings during class. That'd be a great idea, wouldn't it? Professor would be like, "What in the world are you doing?" Yeah, this is a concerning area now. We are watching some very large hail potentially falling in the River Woods and Highland Park area. Not sure if anybody in this chat is from that area. Yeah, this isn't really an area, to be honest with you, that we're going to see a tornado. Again, the environmental parameters over here near Chicago are not in place for a tornado threat right now. I would totally go to class with you on stream. It'd be funny. Hey, no problem, Mystic. How long do you think these storms reach Michigan? They'll probably reach it like 4 to 5 o'clock, like on the very far western side of Michigan. But I don't foresee a whole lot of severe weather in Michigan tonight. I think the threat is really tomorrow for the significant severe weather, all modes of severe weather being possible. We just had a person send in a photo on Twitter north of Chi about 15 minutes ago. I have no clue where that is, but that is some small hail was sent in there. So we'll update there. And if you have any photos or videos, feel free to tweet me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @MaxVelocityWX. I've been retweeting a few photos on there as well. Make sure to follow me too if you're over there. And again, if you're just tuning in for the first time on YouTube, make sure to subscribe down below and like the stream. Have I ever chased a storm? I've chased a hurricane. I chased Hurricane Nicole when it made landfall in Florida. So that was back a few months ago, and I actually have YouTube shorts of it if you want to check them out. They're under the shorts category on my channel. Have a great day, Virginia. Appreciate you tuning in. Small, I would. I mean, I don't have to go to class, but like, today's class is a bit more important. That's the problem. Not miss an important class. Thank you, David, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying the coverage. Norman, Oklahoma shouldn't be too bad today. You're looking at more just a hot spring day. It's not really gonna be that humid over there either. That's loud. Are the alerts loud? Oh, I just realized the alerts thing is like way up. I do apologize for any very loud alerts. Did not realize that they were really loud. For some reason, it was turned up to maximum volume. I apologize. Thank you, Sandra, for the $5 donation as well. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Update on the storm near Highland Park. The hail core is still very large. We're watching for the potential of tennis ball-sized hail near Highland Park. So again, if you're in Highland Park, stay away from windows. This is near Highwood as well. Very large hail potential here north of Chicago. This is a very, very large hailstorm. That has really evolved in the last few minutes. It is going to be moving into the Great Lakes in about 5 minutes, but obviously is a concern for the next few minutes here. The storm in Missouri is up to ping pong ball sized hail, by the way. That is an upgrade from $half sized. If a jump scare, I apologize. It shouldn't have been that loud. If somebody donated like $100 or did like 20 gifted members or something like that, the sound effect is so loud and I don't know how to, I can't even turn it down. I'll have to figure out how to turn that down because that's the worst part when somebody does that, which obviously, it's not that bad, but it is quite loud. It happened the other day on the one of our other live streams. How large are we talking? We're talking probably tennis ball sized hail right now. Maybe a little lower, but I would probably say realistically it's tennis ball sized hail right now falling over in Highland Park. That's the maximum hailstone size, though. Probably the main hailstone range will probably be like ping pong to golf ball size. All right, let's go over to here. By the way, for those in North Texas and even Southern Oklahoma, there are a few cells forming. Nothing too crazy, but there are a few cells forming there. Back near Chicago, again, that is where we're looking right now. This is the last cell for the Chicago suburbs or anywhere in this region, probably for the next several hours. The next start for severe weather here will probably be overnight into Friday morning. That's the next, or not Friday morning, sorry, into Wednesday morning. So, thank you, Lindsay, for the $99.99. Holy cow, you did not have to do that. I really do appreciate the very generous donation. I don't know if Super Chats do the same alert. I could be wrong. Get some claps in the chat, though, for Lindsay. I really do appreciate the support. That is a very generous $99.99. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I don't know if the sound effect's the same. I'll have to double check, like, right now, just to make sure. If it's not, I'll play the sound effect for you guys, because it's really loud. Do not recall if Super Chats do. I know donations do it. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I really do appreciate it. Very, very generous. Let me figure it out here. I'm trying to watch it on my phone. I don't even know what my sound effects, my own alerts are. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so if it didn't happen, which I don't know if it did, I'm going to play another sound effect so you guys can actually hear what it sounds like. I can't. Oh. No, it's not. All right, so let me play the actual sound effect so you guys can hear it. Because it's different. It's not the same. Just gotta find wherever my alerts are. I think it's this. This is not an actual donation. I'm just... Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, that's what that is. So I guess Super Chats don't do it. So yeah, but whatever. I do appreciate it a lot though, Lindsay. I really do appreciate the support. Alright, so this cell's now moving off the coast. It is still producing the threat for some large hail. We had a recent report of ping pong ball sized hail near Riverwoods. That is going to continue to move off the coast. Again, a lot of hail fell over the last few hours. This is a pretty crazy last 3.5 hours of hail. And back down in Missouri, we're still watching that threat for a small discrete supercell developing. This is still not really becoming much of an organized system, but it is producing the threat for some ping pong ball sized hail. An elementary school just reported some $half sized hail near Nelson, so that just happened. But yeah, again, this hailstorm will be moving off the coast over the next several minutes. So that will be moving through Highland Park. It just moved through, and now it's going through Highwood, and it'll continue to move off to the east-northeast. That's what we're looking at in that department. And a friendly reminder, again, make sure to subscribe down below if you're new here. Like the stream if you've been enjoying it. Again, we are only 200 subscribers away from 45,000. Over 2,900 of you are watching. If you've not already, make sure to subscribe down below if you've been enjoying the stream. We do live streams like this all the time. We cover the entire country. We also do we always do video forecasts as well, almost every day. So you'll never miss another forecast or a reliable live stream on the YouTube channel by subscribing. Click the bell icon as well if you've not already. Or again, only 200 subscribers from 45,000. If everybody subscribed right now that's in the stream, we'd probably hit that goal. But other than that, again, I have to go. I already told you guys this. I have to go at right now, pretty much. I have to now run a class. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in today. Again, I really appreciate Lindsay with the $99.99. If anybody else donated, super chatted, became a member, all that sort of stuff, I really greatly appreciate. From the bottom of my heart, goes a long way. I really appreciate all the support today. Again, I will not probably be live again tonight. There will be plenty of other people live, though. Trust me, there's gonna be like dozens, I'm guessing. But I really do appreciate all of you. If you're just watching the stream, I really appreciate you. If you like the stream, subscribed, all that sort of stuff, I really appreciate it. Before you leave, just make sure you subscribe down below so you get notified with the latest live streams and video forecasts. And also make sure to like the stream. This is the most liked live stream I think we've ever had. 2,200 likes. That's insane. Yeah, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great, safe rest of your night, guys. And again, stay safe. Have multiple ways to receive alerts and warnings. And have a tornado action plan in place now and not later, please. Make sure you're staying safe tonight. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys all again soon. Also, thank you, Ola or Baldy, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you. Have a great night, guys.